Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to another Blether. You're with Mike Stewart here. Unfortunately, we don't think Kat is going to make it tonight, but I'm sure Kate and I will have enough banter for the three of us. Yes, Callum, first off, no hat. Look at that. This is what I look like when I wake up in the morning. Not that I've just woken up. So good evening to you. Yeah, I think this is maybe the second Blether I've ever had without the hat. So you are a privileged few watching tonight to see this. I've no idea why I don't have it on. It's not at hand. Children, we'll blame kids. They eat up more time than anything. So that's what I'm blaming it on. Quick hellos to you guys at home. We've got Frank. Good evening, Petehead. Thanks for joining us. Mark Watts is watching tonight. Good evening to you. This could be great fun seeing some of these comments coming through. Looking forward to that. Good evening, Dominic, under the DBH guitar. Great to chat to you through the week. I never did get to see if you got out on Wednesday to the Foghouse, but if you did, I hope you had a great time. I'm assuming the weather maybe put the skids on that. Big Jimmy Jazz is saying hello, not to us, but to Mark Watt, who hosted a tasting, and he got to meet Kate as well. So well done, Mark. The same day you got back from the Far East. Some guy. Dutch Jura, good evening to you. Good evening, Dave Fackerson, saying it's a bit chilly in Aberdeen. Yeah, it's a bit chilly out in Inverurie as well. We've got quite a bit of snow here, although the rain is now kind of coming on in bursts, so it's slush. It's that wonderful slush that's terrible to drive in, terrible to walk in, and if it's cold tonight, it'll be a nightmare tomorrow morning with the ice, which is why we have Zooms to call in from home, and we can have a dram tonight so we don't have to drive. We can blame the snow, we can blame the weather for a lot of things. That shit was bad. Roads this morning were great. Good evening, Callum. Looking forward to seeing many familiar names and hearing such a world famous Campbelltown whiskey legend. Absolutely. I wonder if you'll get asked the question, what's your favourite Campbelltown whiskey, Kate? We will we'll get onto that, I'm sure. Anyone else that we haven't meowed? Hello, Sugar Kitty. Great to have you on. Hello to TJ. He's enjoyed a tasting with Kate and Campbelltown a few weeks ago. Sad to say he couldn't get any luggage, or he had no luggage room, so he couldn't buy anything. It's a shame. We can deliver to certain countries. Good evening, Reb. Good to see you on. And Alia, great to have you on, Alia Mott. I don't recognize the name. Maybe a new viewer to us, or is it a different name? I know YouTube had been fanning about with names recently and putting up some strange things. Good evening to you. He's also saying good evening to Kate, and is joining from Campbelltown. Very tropical weather here. I don't think it snows in Campbelltown. I think it's too salty and too sunny. And I remember driving home from the Springbank school and having to stop and take some photos of the sea, because it was that beautiful kind of turquoise blue, like the Caribbean island postcard. It was absolutely stunning. and the weather, beautiful, beautiful sunny day. So yeah, I get it. Very tropical weather in Campbelltown. Probably about as far away in Scotland as where we are. We're right up in the northeast, and you guys right down in the southwest. Yeah, the joys of YouTube bring us together for a dram tonight, and I'm looking forward to sharing one with Kate. So let's bring her on. Without further ado, we will have a shorter intro today because Kat's not here to keep me company, but Kate is. Good evening, Kate. How are you?
Good evening. I'm fine, thank you. How are
Good.
you? Long time no see.
It's been a while, hasn't it? It must be 48 hours, something like that.
Yeah. At least you can have a dram this time, though.
I know. There's nothing. I mean, there's a lot of things worse than this, but going to a distillery, doing a great tour with yourself and Polly, and then Ollie says, "You know what? We're going to go into the warehouse and have some drams," and it's just.
I know. You'll need to come back with a driver next time.
I know, definitely. Smelling and seeing all these great drams and the rums. Oh my god, that was crazy. But what a day, what a place. Can't wait to come back and maybe when the visitor centre is open, or maybe before.
That might be a while. I wouldn't hold your breath for the visitor centre.
I know. It's such a. Well, let's start at Tormore. It's probably the most recent big news from Elixir is buying the distillery from Chivas 3 years ago now, I think it was. Yeah. And putting your own stamp on it as a brand. Had your first release in the summer this year. Was it the first?
Yeah, kind of pre-release.
Yeah.
Tormore blueprint.
And then
the main release is planned for next year.
Yes, yeah. So the main release is going to be a marriage of the three blueprints, isn't it? The cream sherry, the toasted bird, and bourbon.
Yeah, but Ollie's got some other stuff in the warehouse as well, so it might not just be those three. There might be some other things work their way in. We've got some Sauterne cask, which I think might work its way into some of it. Ollie's still playing about with final recipes, but certainly the blueprint should make up the kind of backbone of what it's going to be like.
And then you had the Legacy release as well.
Yeah. So Legacy's the casks that have been left over. So that's old Chivas stock that we've not done anything to. Ollie's just kind of picked the best from the warehouse, whereas the blueprint stuff that we've re-racked into the types of casks that we want to use.
Yeah, that's something we picked up on the tour, was that you're still producing whiskey for Chivas.
Yeah, till the end of this year.
And then
till the end of the month, isn't it?
I think he said it was like next week or 2 weeks or something like that. Yeah, but it's still the producing liquid for blending is still going to be a large part of the overall operation, isn't it?
Yes, with a distillery that size, that's a lot of single malt to sell if you're selling it all for our own use. So I think there will still be quite a bit of filling going on for others as well as producing for ourselves.
Yeah. And Polly's been tweaking the recipe, hasn't she? So it's two distinct styles.
Yeah, so lucky Polly gets to do two different production things at the minute. So the Chivas recipe stayed as it is and still for them. So they provide the malted barley, they provide the yeast, stick to their fermentation times and things. Whereas anything that's for elixir use, we've added ale yeast, so brewer's yeast, to the fermentation times. We're buying our own malt for it. And then they've lengthened the fermentations a bit as well. All of this just to bring out more of that really lovely fruitiness. Tormore's very kind of orchard fruits and peach and stuff. So adding the ale yeast and adding the longer fermentations just kind of ramps all that up.
Super.
Plan.
It's and I mean you've got Ollie who's doing the kind of the blending side of it and the marriage of the casks and the releases, and Paulie running the distillery. It's such a good team, and obviously yourself and Matt, Angus. It's brilliant. Reb says, and we hear this quite a lot whenever he passes Tormore Distillery. It reminds me of the Willy Wonka factory.
It is such a cool distillery. Like, it's just so many quirky things. Like, who puts a musical clock in their distillery? Like, why do you need that? Sadly, it was turned off when you came round because it drives everybody up the wall. But so the clock has a different Scottish tune plays on the hour every hour, unless you turn it off. Which all day. Which I think the distillery staff do quite often turn it off just because it's quite loud and it goes on for quite a while. But it's really cool.
Just a random tune, or is it is it different every time, or is the same hour got the same tunes?
Do you know? I don't know. I've not heard it often enough to figure out if there's a pattern to it or if it's just a random tune. I think there's 12 possible tunes, but whether it's a different one every hour or whether it's just kind of whatever, I'm not entirely sure. But again, why you need that? There's also a curling rink.
Yes, I see.
Because obviously, you know, that's what you need to do. You go and have a game of curling in your tea break. I don't know.
There's a badminton court as well. Am I right? In the village hall.
There's a wee community hall, which is all the badminton courts set out. It's just mental. It's a really cool distillery, and all the lovely topiary and everything as well. Like, it's just, as Ollie says, none of it is necessary at all for producing whiskey. It's like all this unnecessary beauty and aesthetics for no reason at all, other than to make it a nice place to work and to visit, I suppose. It's that kind of community idea, isn't it?
Yeah, I think in a funny way it kind of fits into how Secunda looks at things. You know, sometimes he does things because he can.
Yeah,
quite a lot of the time, and you know, Tormore Distillery having a musical clock and because they can. I think it fits. It could have been built by him.
It's not always practical or necessary, but it's nice. It's a good thing to have.
And it's great to talk about it. Yeah, I get what Rev's saying about that Willy Wonka factory, because it is at the moment. It's like that forbidden fruit that you can't get into, although it has slightly opened up.
Yeah,
more.
I mean,
since
we're more. I think you're more likely to get to it, like, if it's kind of an organized trip or something. If you turn up and knock on the door, Polly might just tell you to bog off. I'm not sure.
But she'll do it in the nicest possible way.
Yeah. Apparently, you do get loads of people who are driving past, kind of hanging out the car window with the cameras and stuff, trying to take photos of it. Because it is that, like, Mark and I lived up in Speyside or Mark's from Speyside. I lived there with him for a while. And it is that really iconic distillery that you drive past Tormore and it's like, oh, that's good. I'm in Speyside. I'm nearly home. You know, because it is it's the first distillery you see as you're driving into Speyside. Although probably the Cairn's got that now, but
it's not as pretty though.
It's not. Is anyone from Gordon MacPhail watching? It faces the wrong way.
I think when you're in the distillery looking out, it's the right way. But when you're on the roadside, you see the tanks and the back end of it. Yeah. They could have had a better butt.
Yeah, but anyway.
We're not going to close at other people's distillery. Well, we could.
No, it's not, because they've done a fantastic job of it. I'm not like breaking any holes.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a great day, and meeting you guys and the other lads who were on the trip from the malt room. Shout out to you guys if you're watching, and the Speyside Centre, and everyone was just kind of so into it. You know, sometimes you get tours that, especially if it's on kind of fam trips or industry tours, there's usually somebody who's been on that distillery, or usually somebody is quite pally with. But I think it was new to everyone, and that it had that real kind of school trip.
Because it's not been open to the public for so long. Like, it's not like people have had a chance to go around it much independently or have been to it before. So it's a really cool thing to be able to do, like, to kind of introduce people to it for the first time. Yeah. And like Polly does such a fun tour. Like, she's really brilliant. And like it's an entertaining chat.
It's so good. And quite witty as well. We had Polly on the chat God, it must be about 2 years ago now. And it was when Portnatroon had just been announced, I think. And she was she there? No. I may be getting confused.
Portnatroon will be longer ago than that it was announced, was it not?
Yeah. It maybe was 3 or 4. Well, Russell was on the chat with us, so that's going back. It's 3 years since he left, and almost 4 years since he left. So yeah, it would have been 4 years maybe. But I've forgotten where I'm going. Oh, Paul, have you heard the pale ale story?
Don't think so.
So on my way as part of my research for the trip, I fired on a podcast by the Whiskey Under One Nation guys, and
Jason and
Joshua, and so they were saying they were in a bar in Edinburgh. I think it was a Weatherspoons, and there was a Polish waitress, and she had she was speaking to them about beer, and so Joshua had said, "What beers do you have?" And she said, "Oh, we have Guinness or Tennent's or whatever on draft, but we also have a Pale. And they said, "Sorry?" A Pale in a Polish accent, trying to say pale ale, but it came across as Pale. And they were on their way up to meet Polly and Ollie. So this known as the pale ale or Pale.
Yeah. I suppose with an American accent, it'll sound more poly-olly-ish.
yeah, almost. So they are the perfect couple to be running it together. I'm not sure if we could do a pale ale finished beer and finished whiskey in tribute or something.
Don't know. Don't think there's any plans for a beer cask.
I forgot to ask you. What's in your glass? Forgot to ask.
So I'm drinking this, which is Linkwood, 11 years old, small batch. So it's 4 casks, refill hoagies, fatted together and brought down to 48%. And this is the one that you don't have because I gave you a dram of something that I don't have in my house. So if you want to try something similar, I think in your bag there's a 15-year-old Linkwood single cask, so cast strength one.
There's so much in here. Listen to this, guys.
Shh, told you not to tell everybody.
This is not what you get on a normal trip to Tormore.
It's driver's drams.
This I'm going to have to find some. I mean, some of
just do a lucky dip and see what you get.
Well, I did that, and the first one I picked up was the Whiskey Trails Chichibu.
Oh, I mean, that's not a bad one either.
It's not bad.
I've got some of that. We could have that and chat about it if you want.
Well, we have this one. We'll start because the Whiskey Trails is kind of the newest range from Elixir. It
is. This has only just been launched. Chichibu. And the idea with this is, like, obviously, Sekinder's been bottling the Single Malts of Scotland range for a long time. I think 2002 he started bottling under Single Malts of Scotland. But obviously, there's a lot of good whiskey out there that isn't necessarily a single malt of Scotland. And the Whiskey Trail is to kind of shine a light on them, really. And the first release is world whiskies, but it could be old grains, it could be blends, it could be, let's say, anything that just doesn't fit into that Single Malts of Scotland bracket. So the first one, we've launched with 4 world whiskies and 5 single origin rums. So there's a rum trail and a whiskey trail. In the future, there might be an agave trail or a cognac trail or anything that comes in a cask and tastes good could potentially end up. But the kind of idea is that Sekinder's already kind of like pre-selected it, if you like, because there's so much world whiskey out there. Sometimes it can be hard to know where to start. So this is him going to say, look, I've tried this. I rate these guys. I like what they're doing. Here's your chance to try it.
Yeah. Because we are seeing people are spreading their wings a little bit with whiskey, aren't they? It's not, you think at the turn of the millennium, probably 2000, it was very much Scotch, Irish, Japan. I mean, even people were talking about Japan being quite new, although they'd been around for a long time. They were really just starting to ramp up that kind of world exposure. In America, that's kind of 4 countries, and now it's like every country is doing not just whiskey, but making really good whiskey.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know that the whole history of distilling whiskey in Japan can be mostly attributed to Campbelltown?
Mostly. Yeah. I know that there's links. I'm not sure if the whole history could be.
Well, no, but there is a very strong link. So Masataka Taketsuru was employed at Suntory at the time. He got sent to Scotland to learn chemical engineering and to learn distilling. Yes. And he was supposed to do internships at distilleries and stuff. So he went to Longmorn, I think for a week. He went somewhere else for a couple of weeks. And he came to Campbelltown to Hazelburn.
I think he was at.
Yeah. And the manager at Hazelburn at the time just took him on. So I think he was down here for about 6 months, learning distillation at Hazelburn. And he kept meticulous notes, which have just been translated into English. It's a bit of a dry read, but it's quite a nice bit of history. And he went back and founded Yamazaki Distillery for Suntory. Yeah. But him and Suntory had a big fight, or not a big fight, because it was probably a very polite fight. But Taketsuru wanted to build somewhere that was much more similar to Scotland in terms of
the North Island, wasn't it?
Yeah. So he wanted to go to Uichi, where but Suntory wanted something much more central. So he built Yamazaki, and I believe part of his contract was that he had to stay at Suntory for 10 years. Mm-hmm. So he stayed at Suntory for 10 years and then left Suntory and went and established his own company, which was Nika, and built Uichi Distillery up in the north of Japan. So if he hadn't come to Campbelltown, he might not have founded Uichi. And the Japanese whiskey industry might be completely different.
Suntory wouldn't be what it is.
No. The really interesting that Mark and I went to, there was a Taketsuru centenary talk thing in Glasgow Uni, and we went to that, and there was a talk by someone from Nika and someone from Suntory and the whole kind of history, and they showed a photo which I have not been able to find since, and it's really doing my head in, of Uichi Harbour and a photo of Campbelltown Loch, and the angle that they'd both been taken from, it was the same, like the topography and the kind of horizon and everything, it just looked exactly the same kind of landscape. And it's like, oh, he must have, like, there must have been some subconscious influence there. But like I say, I've not been able to find the photo of Uichi since then that shows it from that precise angle.
Yeah.
But it was a really cool kind of link. So the Chichibu is nothing to do with Suntory or Nika. The one that we're drinking this is the Whiskey Trails. It's a 10-year-old Chichibu, and it's from a IPA cask. So Chichibu use quite a lot of IPA casks, I believe. And I really get your Pally Alley. It is your Pally Alley.
It almost as if we planned that.
Yeah. And I'll say hi to Ali, who's watching from Campbelltown. Is most people know him as Peruvian Ali. He's one of the tour guides at Springbank. So good
evening, Ali. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. But yeah, so Pally Ali IPA. I really get the kind of hoppiness on the palate.
It's funky. It's kind of a citrus zesty, that you get in a kind of real crisp lemony pale ale. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We've got Alan Smith is saying, "Evening, Mike. It's Baltic outside. Why the hell have you taken your cap off?" It's not that I've taken it off. I just didn't put it on. Is the problem. But I am counterbalancing that. I've got our boiler behind me here, and I'm actually sitting on a heated blanket for puppies.
Oh,
Yeah. So we used to breed dogs, not commercially, but our 2 dogs between them have had 5 litters, and they were big litters. So we have this heated blanket for them, and I found it as I was climbing over the stramash of crap that is behind the screen here. I thought that's absolutely dynamite for just now. So yeah, after I got over the feeling of it being like I wet myself, I'm now quite comfortable.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of heated seats. It's the same as heated seats in cars. I don't like them. I'd rather
especially when you don't know that they're on.
What's that?
Especially when you don't know that they're on.
Yeah, exactly. If you get into someone else's car and there's a heated seat, it's like, I'm glad it's not just me that's got a whole pile of crap hidden behind the screen, by the way. It's like...
I'll tell you. I'm not even going to turn it around. So that's why we don't have the cap off. Why we don't have the cap. Dominic has been looking for a catchphrase for a weekly question of what we're drinking. I'm going to propose a few suggestions. Okay, let's have it. What's fueling your blether tonight? The best blethers need a good dram. What's yours? Like it. Oh, what is in your glass tonight, guys? Let us know what you're drinking. Alan was thinking I lost my cap in a football related incident. Unfortunately,
football related celebration.
yeah, it's great. I mean, what a night that was.
Did you manage to watch the game when you got back?
No, because I was driving back from a tasting.
Oh, of course, you had a tasting, didn't you? And John was working at the bar as well. So, and I was sitting drinking cherry with Ollie afterwards. So I didn't watch it either.
I mean, of all the things not to be doing, or to be doing rather than watching football, drinking sherry with Ollie would probably be my pick of the 3.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun.
I mean, I watched the first half on my phone as I was setting up. It was just a beautiful place, Meldrum House Hotel. They've just done all the Christmas decorations, so there's a big fireplace with the Christmas tree next to it, and all the tinsel and stockings. Got some great shots. But the football was on, but we're 1-0 up, and I was like, right, that's good. Well, we can cope with that, but we were terrible. We thought we'll get to halftime, and then the second half, the first thing at the tasting, I said, turn your phones off. I don't want to hear it. I'm going to go home and watch it afterwards. It's going to be hard enough keeping off social media. But I did, man. The only whisper I heard was, oh, Denmark have scored. And that's the only thing. So then I thought, well, okay. So I came home with no expectation and watched the game on my own with a dram. I tried to remember what I was drinking. It was Little Brown Dog's new Glengarry release.
Oh, it's good, isn't it? Tried it in Glasgow. Yeah.
So that's what I was dramming on. 1 o'clock in the morning. Just myself. Well, actually, I had Bria Rose, and my new baby was in my arms. So she's lucky she didn't either end up on the ceiling or in the TV, depending on which way.
Well done. Good parenting skills there.
I think that was Tony's plan, was to place her on me so that I had some constraint. Because she knew what the bloody score was. Didn't tell me.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
we had so our kids' school had a special assembly the day after and showed the highlights to all the kids. So, like, whole school in the assembly hall watching the highlights of the football on Wednesday morning.
I know, there would have been so many people calling off. I think perhaps, God has a plan, and he put the weather down there to stop people having to go to work. So if you're sitting watching football, you look outside, it's snowing. That's a good excuse to call in sick. I'll just have a few dram. Not call him sick, call him unroadworthy. But yeah, go on. And bloody about 20 minutes after the final whistle, I think it was Glenmore, their rare find, launched the sales for their USA celebratory anniversary release or something. It was like, you guys have been sitting on that for blood.
Yeah, I've been sitting with a finger over the button, just like.
Yeah. That was probably about 3 years old when they first thought, let's do a qualification release. And it's been that long. It's like 20 years old or something now. Awesome. Jeremy Watt is in. Good evening. Your namesake there. He is in Egypt. So not having to do with the school the weather that we have. I was going to ask, an IPA cask for Red Mordecai, who is on a strict kosher diet. Are beer casks kosher? Because I know that it's kind of wine is one of the big things.
Oh, yeah, because sherry's a bit iffy, isn't it? Sometimes.
Yeah. So I'm not sure about like an IPA cask.
I don't know.
Not quite my Chichibu cherry, but it's only the second one I've had, and I'm absolutely loving it.
It's really good, isn't it?
I've had one of Tatsuya's at the Highlander.
Yeah, Mark. I'm just going to slag off Mark because he's upstairs listening. But I'm not slagging him off, actually. But when he was at Cadenheads, he spent 6 years pestering Yumi at Chichibu to sell him a cask. And eventually, 6 years. Can I get a cask, Yumi? Can I get a cask, Yumi? And eventually, she agreed to sell him one. And he left Cadenheads before they bottled. Sorry, Mark, I shouldn't laugh, but it is quite amusing.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, terrible.
So, well, maybe another 6 years he might get a What Whiskey one. I don't know.
You're not getting any viewers? No?
Unlikely, no.
The labels are pretty cool, aren't they? Of this range.
Really cool.
When I first saw this one, it reminded me of the Aberfalls Welsh whiskey, with the red and the kind of.
Oh yeah. I suppose I've got 2 red ones at the front here, but
on further inspection, no, it's very different.
Yeah, and there's different colours. So it's all the kind of postage stamp thing, but then depending on the distillery in the country, there's different kind of symbols and whatever. I really like the labels. I think it looks good. So the Chichibu is a single cask, but the other ones in the Whiskey Trail series are like small batch.
Mm-hmm. Not quite single. Are they single cask or small?
No,
small
just
batch?
the Chichibu is the only one that's a single cask. The others are 4 casks, I think. Depends on the release.
You've got such an eclectic mix at Elixir. How is it feel going from? I mean, your most recent, founding What Whiskey. We won't talk too much about that. We talked a lot about that with Mark. So if you wanted to learn about What Whiskey, check out our Blether with Mark. We can talk about it if you want, but I know you want to. We've got so much from Elixir that we want to kind of talk about.
It's ridiculous.
Going from that, when it's your choice, or it's not Mark's choice, it's your choice. What goes in, what you release, what you to then having to say, holy crap, I have got not only so many whiskies, but rums. And then within that, you've got about, 6, 7, 8 different ranges of whiskey, each with 6, 7, 8 rations at a time. I mean, it must be, the training must be fantastic.
It's awesome. It's awesome. It's like, go down to London, sit with a killer, and just like, right, we're tasting this time. Like, yeah, it's amazing stuff. I think the really cool thing for me, like, I started off at distilleries. So I started off working at Springbank and then Glenfarclas, which are both amazing distilleries. But it's quite it's one single malt is what you're talking about, and one distillery. And then going from that to What Whiskey, where we were bottling, independent bottling, doing different distilleries, it's kind of wider. And then now with Elixir Distillers, it's just like huge. But it's like, it's all really good stuff though. That's what's nice. Although it's working for someone else rather than working for myself, they still, like, we share a lot of ideas about what good spirit is. It's like, it's not all about the cask. The cask should be enhancing what's already there rather than overpowering it. So it's very much kind of distillate driven, letting the distillery character shine, all of that, non-chill filtered, no colouring. So a lot of the kind of philosophy is the same, just that Sekunder's got a lot more stock.
Speaking to Ollie or listening to Ollie speak, you can see that he's very passionate about that distillery character, and certainly, the legacy that the Tormore blueprints were speaking about that. He was really keen to make sure that the Tormore spirit comes through, and then your single malt of Scotland range is very bourbon cask heavy, isn't it? It looks at distillery characters rather than
absolutely
giving it a bath in sherry and saying, it's a.
I mean, there are some sherry casks in it, but again, it's not that big sherry bomb. There's other stuff going on. It's not completely overpowered by the sherry, and I think that's why Ollie went for cream sherry for maturing Tormore as well, because the cream sherry doesn't give quite as much colour, it doesn't give as much hit of tannins, so you're getting a more like a softer sherry influence, I think, than using a great big kind of intense PX or something.
It was something that kind of struck with me on the day. I'm just going to say hello to Rick. Rick Johnson has popped in from the Whisky Zone. Good evening, Rick. He said it's Tetsuya's birthday, so we'll raise a big glass. I've got exactly his whiskey in my hand. We'll say happy birthday, Tetsuya. Michael Lloyd is on. Good evening, Michael. Great to have you on.
Mate.
He says cask is king.
Cask is king.
Yeah. To a point.
Well, a good cask.
If cask is king, then it must be the soul.
Yeah. But you can turn a good whiskey bad with a bad cask. I think you can't make, what am I trying to say? You need to put the spirit in good wood to let it shine. Doesn't matter how good your spirit is. If you put it into bad wood, it's not going to let it show its full potential. I mean, I suppose it could be rescued, maybe.
You could probably give something, but would you just be masking it rather than enhancing it?
Yeah.
But it was something that struck me, and you know how there are people in the industry who are sherry sluts. I was one of them. I have kind of moved. I still love a big, heavy sherry bomb. Don't get me wrong. But the more I learn about the making of whiskey, the more I learn about the processes behind the spirit, the more I love bourbon cask, especially refill bourbon cask, and I get into that because you can taste the character, the changes, and you can see, well, this must be coming from the fermentation, this is coming from the wood, and that. Sometimes you don't get that with them. But we have a demographic of whiskey drinker who love sherry cask.
Yeah.
It is something that Ollie mentioned when he was kind of giving us the little history of sherry casks. In that, cream sherry, Scotland was the biggest importer of sherry, the biggest drinker of sherry, right up until I think the mid-70s, when the law changed about bottling sherry in Spain. But what we were importing in vast quantities was cream sherry. It wasn't Pedro Jimenez, it wasn't Oloroso. No. So the casks that we were getting, these transport casks, would have been cream sherry.
Yeah.
And that is probably the sherry that most people look down on nowadays, or Bristol Cream or Crofts. It's cheap supermarket sherry. And it was just like, that's such a kind of interesting twist on kind of today's sherry market when people are loving Oloroso, loving Pedro Jimenez, and it's seasoned casks, but that's the flavors were.
Yeah. So but historically and traditionally, if we can use that word, cream sherry was probably much more widely used than the other ones.
Mm-hmm. So when we look at a bottle of whiskey and it says sherry cask matured, and it doesn't specify the sherry, could that be cream sherry? I've always taken it as Oloroso because that's kind of the biggest import.
So apparently, because Ollie and I were chatting about this the other night when we were sitting drinking sherry, and like historic distillers quite often just didn't bother keeping records. It was just like sherry cask, no sort of nothing else, just like sherry cask. And I was like, because sherry is a protected term. So only wines produced in the Jerez region in Spain should be called sherry. And anything from out with that isn't. So, like, if you're using a cask of wine from Montilla, for us, it's the style of it. It's a sherry style wine, but it's not sherry.
Yeah.
So
you could call that Oloroso casks, couldn't you? But you couldn't say Oloroso sherry casks.
Well, I don't know, but I'd said to her, it was like, so can you then call that a sherry cask if it's not from Jerez? And apparently the rules kind of put it onto the blender. So it's whatever the blender decides it is what it is.
Really?
So if the blender says it's sherry cask, then it's sherry cask.
Okay.
So
yeah, and given how the SWA are and how strict they are on cask usage, I'm surprised that that's been allowed to slip through.
Yeah, I don't know why that one's kind of it's okay. I mean, I think presumably if you're specifying what type of sherry it is, you have to know that that's where it's come from. But if you're just saying sherry cask or port cask or whatever, I'm trying to think, like Marsala, it's that the blender picks up enough notes in the whiskey to make him believe that that is the type of cask it's been matured in.
Yeah.
So therefore he can describe it as that. He or she, they can describe it as that.
Interesting. I think that deserves more. It's a rabbit hole that we could spend a lot of time going down. I'm still in the Chichabu. I just put a wee drop of water on this, and it really, really brings out that IPA. It tastes like if you've had a good night and you've had a few beers and you've started a fresh beer, you've cranked open this IPA, and you've thought better of it, you think, you know what, I'm not going to have that. And in the morning, you come down, it's still there. And you have a wee taste of it. So it's like flat IPA. That is what this tastes like. It's really lemon hoppy, zesty.
Do you know, I don't think I have had this conversation with Mark in the past before as well. Like, I can't think of a time I've ever come downstairs or come into the living room after a night out and seen an open can or glass of something. I thought, I'll just have a wee try of that again. No.
Yeah, you haven't been to one of my parties.
No, clearly not.
Have you? Mark will have. I'm sure he has.
Of course he has. I say that's why we've had the discussions about it, because I'm like, no.
Yeah. Actually, knowing Mark, he wouldn't go to bed if there was an unfinished drink sitting, to be honest.
No. Although, yeah. I mean, I'm not a big beer drinker anyway, so that's kind of, it wouldn't necessarily tempt me, even if it wasn't the morning after.
But I'm so glad I did that. Because
I know. I just saw that.
Not just me that drinks in the morning. Exactly. So Whiskey Trail's just been released. They are now in circulation, aren't they? They've been out.
Should be. Yep.
And the first range, we've got this fantastic Chichabu. We've got Danish from the two distillery, although it's spelled T-Y-E.
It's spelled Thy, but it's pronounced two. Which is a really cracking. It's like a malted rye spelt barley mash, and you really get, or I really get, the kind of cereals coming through in it. It's not. I mean, it's quite spicy, but it's not as spicy as like 100% rye. And it was matured in. It was from quarter casks, but Ollie actually put it into 2 hoggies when it got to Scotland, just to kind of mellow it out a bit. So that's a really cool one, and it's a really cool, very small production, little kind of family-owned farm to bottle kind of production, which is quite cool. There's an English single malt from White Peak Distillery, so they bottle their own stuff under Wireworks, and again, quite a traditional kind of production. They use spent ale yeast, and just a really nice kind of fruity distillate. And then what's this? Fourth one is a peated Westland from the States, single malt.
Had it ready just in case you were struggling, but you pulled through. Well done.
I've got it. I mean, they're behind me. I could have looked, but no, pulled out. It's like, there's so many different products to remember.
The Danish malt, the new distillery. You said you guys bought it, took it over, and then you finished it over here.
Rested probably more than finished. Hang on, let me just check what it does. Just say New American Quarter Casks. I think it was probably just the marrying period was done in a couple of hoggies rather than bottling straight from the quarters. This is only 4 years old, the Danish one.
So if here's just something that popped in my head. It popped in my head on Tuesday, but if that Danish distillery or a Danish independent bottler bought Tormore, for example, took a cask over there and then finished it, or second matured it, put in a cask over there, they wouldn't be able to call that Scotch whiskey, would they?
No, they wouldn't, because Scotch whiskey has to be matured and bottled in Scotland, or single malt has to be matured and bottled in Scotland. Blended can still be bottled outside of Scotland. So yeah, they would be able to call it whiskey, but not Scotch whiskey.
Not Scotch whiskey.
I believe.
Yeah.
But for the Danish, obviously none of the others have to be bottled in their country of origin. Because the American single malt actually got shipped over in the original wood. Like, it got shipped over in cask, which is quite unusual. Like, normally you would decant it into like drums or something for shipping, but it got shipped over in the original wood. Yeah.
That's again, it's something I never really thought of before. Is we import so much great. We had Georgie Bell on from the Heart Cup not too long ago, talking about how all these whiskies she's done and this Whiskey Trail series, and it's always classed as the single malt of the country.
Yeah,
but I've never thought of it flipping that, and because we obviously send a lot to Europe and these guys who do their own stuff. So yeah, interesting. Right, what are we having next? What?
I don't know. What do you think? Do you want some peat, or do we want some?
Steady on. Not yet. We're a bit early in the. Do you have the Glenlossie?
I do have the Glenlossie, if I can reach it.
We'll come back home. We'll come closer to home, and
I do have the Glenlossie.
A 14-year-old UK exclusive single malt to Scotland at 57.
Yeah, there's the proper label. So this is bourbon barrels. Again, like you were saying earlier, the single malts of Scotland range is very much bourbon refill. Like, there's no kind of weird and wonderful cask finishes on it. It all tends to be quite classic kind of maturation. I love Glenlossie. It's one of these distilleries that's really underrated. You don't see it very much, but it's just such a nice spirit, isn't it?
Stephen K is saying it's all about Glenlossie. I love how there's people out there from the guys who are watching are like, love Glenlossie. There's so many distilleries have the little following that you don't see of distilleries that people don't see every day, they don't see very often, but it's got this little cult following. A single cask comes out from an indie, it's like, gotta get it. I love it.
Yeah.
I just love that about the industry. Having your Walt Whiskey experience, it must be great to be part of that and find these little hidden gems that you can expose and talk about. And do
absolutely. Nothing to do with the fact that we can't afford the big names.
Big names get enough exposure. There's enough of them in the ships. Nobody wants to independently bottle Talisker
or Springbank. Who would want that? I mean,
nobody would buy that. Nobody would buy that.
But I do think that's the great thing about independent bottlers. It is letting you try stuff that otherwise you wouldn't get to try a single malt. it goes into blend, which is great because blends are still a huge part of the world whiskey market. But being able to try malts like this, I think, is a really cool thing of independent bottling.
Reb says refill bourbon barrels make the best whiskey.
I'm with you. Refill anything. I'm quite partial to refill sherry as well, I have to say. I'm not quite as much of a sherry slut as you claim to have once been. I don't really go for the massive sherry bombs, but I do like a bit of a wee refill sherry now and again. It's quite nice.
I think nowadays I kind of veer towards them if it was a day when I just want to sit down and switch off. And
Yep. I think we've lost Mike. Have we lost Mike? Yeah, I think Mike's frozen. Am I still here, or am I frozen too? Oh, that's good. Okay, people can hear me. Sorry, Mike. What were we talking about? Independent bottlers are very good. And it's also one of those, it lets you try stuff that maybe doesn't fit into the distillery character. Oh, that's good. I'm going to just blether. One thing I do love, though, I can't remember where I was going with this. I've lost my train of thought completely. Somebody, right, give me some questions then, because I've just completely lost my train of thought. So, what are we discussing? Oh, he's back. We're all right. I don't have to think what to say now.
oh my god!
Blame the snow. Blame the snow.
That's the so I hotspot from my phone because I'm in the garage, and my phone battery just went into saving mode, so that
kicks you off.
That kicked me off. I do apologize. Normally there's two of us, and that that's not too much of an issue. But
yeah, I tried my best, but I completely lost my train of thought. So I went a bit wrong.
We should have a contingency. We should send you a script. Every guest gets a script because, as the who was it, Ed Friday said, both Mike and Kat have crap internet. Yeah. So we should. This can happen. We should definitely have a script that every guest gets. If we decide to bugger off on the talk about.
Here's some safe subjects that you can talk about while we're trying to get connected back in. So, yeah, quite often if it rains down here, the internet gets a bit patchy, but we don't get snow.
So we have a couple of things that I have been kind of keeping an eye on for questions to go back to. One was from Dominic, who is a little unsure of who you are. People in the whiskey industry know who you are, but do you want to give us a little background? We normally do this at the start, but we just started talking and we got we
just got straight into Tormore, didn't we? I'll do a brief history. And so I am a Campbelltown native. Grew up in Campbelltown, sort of middle of nowhere. As a teenager, it's not that fun a place to live, so I escaped as soon as I could and went to uni and studied languages, wanted to travel, didn't know what I wanted to do, and graduated looking for a job, couldn't find a job, did another degree in translation, and then Mum was chatting to a friend of hers in Campbelltown who went, the girl that works at Springbank's leaving because there's too much travel. She speaks languages. Maybe Kate could get a job there. So Mum relayed this to me. So I was like, might as well. So I phoned them up. And
you said job.
Just phoned them and said, can I did the hi, I've got a degree in languages. Don't suppose you're looking for anybody to work in your export department. And the lady that answered the phone went, hang on a minute, put me through to Ewan Mitchell, who was the sales director at the time. And Ewan was like, yeah, we are. Send me your CV. So I got interviewed by Ewan in a pub in Glasgow. just before he went off to the States or something on a trip, and I got the job, and I was like,
that was easy.
moving back to Campbelltown was not really in the life plan. But I was kind of like, so I kind of fell into it by mistake, and I remember at the time thinking, right, you can't get a job without experience, so I'll go and work there, I'll get some experience, and then I'll be better placed to like look for something else and move somewhere more exciting. But I went back and I absolutely loved the job. It was so much fun to work at. Like, I didn't really have much knowledge of the whiskey industry before that,
Right.
other than obviously growing up in Campbelltown, so you know about Springbank. I did my high school work experience there, but it was quite dull because I was a girl, and Gordon Wright just went, "Can you type this letter for me?" And I'm like, "Can't type," and then it just lost interest. This is how long ago it was. There were still typewriters on the go.
So you weren't a whiskey drinker at this point.
I did drink whiskey, but it was like whiskey with mixers and stuff.
Right.
So, and even then, so I drank like, you know, JD and Coke and stuff like that, and like White Mackay with whatever mixer was to hand. So I had drunk whiskey, but I didn't like single malts and stuff. I hadn't really drunk that much of. So Springbank was like, I started the job and I got put into malt warrants for 2 weeks, pretty much like whiskey school, but over a longer period. So I was in doing the actual production, like doing the malting, in with the still guys, like learning kind of all about the production on the job, and then tasting. And it was just as the Springbank 21 was discontinued. So my introduction to whiskey was Springbank 10-year-old, but there was all this like 21, 32, 25-year-old in the tasting cabinet. So I think I maybe got a slightly unrealistic introduction to the world of whiskey. But it was a brilliant job. I know. So I was living in Campbelltown, but travelling about all over the place. And that's how I met Mark, because we were both on that festival circuit. Like, I was doing all the whiskey shows for Springbank. Mark was working for Duncan Taylor at the time, so he was doing all the whiskey shows for Duncan Taylor. And this was like, I mean, in my head, I'm still mid-30s, so it was quite a long time ago. It's like early 2000s. We were doing this, and there were a lot less people working in the whiskey industry. You know, there weren't the same number of brand ambassadors and stuff as there are now. So you'd bump into the same people all over the place. And that's how Mark and I got together. He got me drunk. Obviously. And then we ended up in Japan. And
you've regretted it ever since?
No, I haven't actually. But it was really fun when we first started going out. We'd kind of said, "Oh, it'd be a really bad idea to work together. We shouldn't work together," because it was at that stage where it was like, right, he was living in Speyside, I was living in Campbelltown. Like, as a long distance relationship, it's not ideal. Like pegging up and down the road every weekend. So it was at that kind of having discussions, and it's like, I don't think we should work together. I was like, no, I don't either. So he's like, well, I can't move to Campbelltown then, because the only other whiskey employer in Campbelltown is like Springbank. So we don't want to work together. I mean, obviously there's Glen Scotia as well, but because they were based kind of central belt, so it was Springbank for Cadenheads. And I was in a bar in Germany. This sounds like a Mark story, sorry, but it's not. I was in a bar in Germany with George Grant, and he knew Mark and I quite well. And he's like, "Yeah, so how are things with you and Mark? Is it getting serious?" And I was like, "Yeah, reasonably." He's like, "So is he going to move to Campbelltown?" I was like, "Nah." And he's like, "Would you move to Speyside?" I was like, "Yeah, probably." And he's like, "Do you speak languages?" I was like, "Yeah, speak Spanish and French." He's like, "Brilliant, send in your CV, we're looking for someone." So so then I got the job at Glenfarclas, moved up to Glenfarclas, and 2 years later, Mark got a job at Cadenheads in Campbelltown. So, brilliant plan. But it worked out fine. Like, he worked from home for a while. So he was based in Speyside, but he'd come down to Campbelltown like a week a month or whatever, stay with my mum and dad, go out to pub with mum, and play pool and stuff. So it worked out all right. And then what? Oh, then we had kids. So we both moved back to Campbelltown when I was pregnant with Zach, because it's good to have babysitters close at hand when you have children.
Yeah.
So my mum and dad are down here. Mark's job was down here, so it made sense to move. And then the usual kind of kids. Mark and Cadenhead's party company, and we decided to take the leap and do our own independent bottling under the What Whisky label, which is great fun, and it's still going well. But we started during lockdown. And during lockdown, everybody was drinking bucket loads.
Yeah.
Because you were stuck at home, there was nothing else to do, everyone was online, they were buying loads of whiskey, sales were really good. So we started and now things have kind of settled back to probably what they were pre-COVID. So it's all.
I remember getting an email from Mark, or maybe it was yourself, about the first release, and would we be interested? And at the time, we were really busy as well, doing tastings and all that, and I missed the concept of the email. It was, oh great, Mark here doing their own bottle, and this is going to be fantastic. Can't wait to see it. But the email was, let me know if you're interested in stocking it, and we'll put you on the list. So I never really thought about it until it got closer to the release date, and then it was like, this is our first kind of batch and all that, and I was like, oh, can I get some? And it was like,
that.
No chance. It's like completely gone. I was cursing myself for so long after that. I was like, but as you say, it wasn't that long ago. Mark popped into the shop and said there's some samples, and it was at the same time as North Star and Croucher was then actively looking for stockists. Thompson Brothers were starting to open up for stockists, and just a sign of the times that you guys couldn't just sit back and say, well, that'll sell out.
Exactly. Yeah. So the market's changed a bit, and it's the same for everyone. So that's partly why it's not really a two-person. I mean, it was never really a two-person job, running What Whisky, but it's definitely not a two-person job at the minute. And so Mark is now doing all the day-to-day What Whisky stuff. I'm still involved in the cask selection and still do some of the design stuff for him because he's crap at it. Sorry, pet, but you are. And I've now started doing brand ambassador work with Elixir. So that started in the summer, which is great. I mean, I've known Sikander since my Springbank days. I used to sell him Springbank. So we'd chat on the phone, which was mainly him saying, come on, Kate, you can give me a better allocation than that. And me going, I'm really sorry, Sikander, I can't. On you go, Kate. Okay, since it's you, kind of chat. So I've known Sikander a long time and love what he's doing. I really like all his brands. So when the opportunity came up to work with them, took it. It takes a bit of the pressure off What Whisky. It means we're not both self-employed by the same company, and it lets me get out and about and do a few more shows in Scotland that we couldn't do before. So I'm kind of back out. Just done Glasgow, did Whisky Fringe this year and stuff as well. So quite a few shows that I've not done for ages. So it's been really cool getting out and doing them again as well.
Awesome. Yeah, and as I've said a few times tonight, what a great array. How do you think, right, I'm going to Glasgow Festival, I'm going to whatever festival. How do you pick? Or is that your job to pick which whiskies you take, or is it somebody saying?
Yeah, partly. So sometimes it's me, sometimes it's specialty brands who are the UK importer, they'll choose, or distributor, they choose what they want to show. But it is that, when you're doing a show, trying to narrow down what you want to show and what you want to talk about, it's really tricky. I mean, Port Askeig's normally there because that's the kind of that's our Isla brand.
Yeah.
So we've normally got that. And then, like, maybe the Black Top Rock, but it's like, do we take, like, I've got single malts of Scotland. Which single malts of Scotland I take? Like, there's, like, heaps of them to choose from. And then there's...
It's a great problem to have, isn't it?
I know. It is. It's, like, so much good whiskey. Like, how do you choose which ones to do? But yeah, as you say, it's not a bad problem to have, really.
Absolutely. We're going to jump back into the chat, and I'm pretty sure this is a genuine question coming from a guy called Mark Watt. Who's your favourite indie bottler?
That's a tricky one.
He's a little brown dog, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, Andrew's always got the best merch, so it's got to be a little brown dog. I think there's loads of independent bottlers out there, and there's loads of really good ones. And I think a lot of the time, kind of independent bottlers are a bit like whiskey reviewers. Like, you find ones that kind of correspond to your taste.
Yeah.
Because not all whiskey reviewers will like the same stuff as you, but if you find someone that's got a similar taste, then you can kind of trust their reviews. Do you know what I mean? And I think independent bottlers are the same. Like, if you find an independent bottler that consistently bottles stuff that suits your taste, it's not that they're the best independent bottler, but they're the best for you. So obviously I'm going to say What Whiskey because we're picking them. But Single Malts of Scotland are doing some really good stuff. Little Brown Dog, I love what Andrew's doing. North Star do some good stuff. But I think a lot of the time with independent bottlers as well, it's the people. Or for me, the independent bottlers that I will tend to go for are ones that I know and get on with the owners. So like, Brown Dog, North Star, Fragrant Drops, and the guys at Brave New Spirits that are building a distillery down in Campbelltown. Like, it's that kind of personal connection as well.
Yeah, it's like the ethos of the company. You look at what they do outside just the whiskey, whether it's the branding or the chat. I know that you and Mark. Well, Mark's probably more active on the socials than you. Like little videos and little snippets and just that open, honest. You just kind of relate to people like that, and you just say, you know what, these are good guys. I want to support them, and you'll buy a whiskey. You think, well, actually, I'm glad I did that because it's a great whiskey. I think it's easier to get on with guys like that, like you, like Andrew, like Ian. Ian's probably not as forward in the socials. He's maybe going to be a bit more now, but
he's a bit more in the background. Well, I don't know if you can describe Ian as being in the background, but anyway.
in social media, maybe not social events. But yeah, you make that connection. And Paul and Greg at Lady the Glen are guys who we really get on with and love chatting about as well.
Yeah. I've known Paul for a long time as well. He's fun.
From a retailer, we kind of take punts on people we maybe not have heard of, but it then becomes hard to sell because you're like, well, this is XYZ, and you end up talking more about the distillery than the bottler, and then the customer's like, well, okay, I'll just have their 12-year-old core range because it's 30 quid cheaper.
I suppose that's like, as a retailer, if you have, if you've got two independent bottled Glenlosses on your shelf, and you know the people behind one of them, and you don't know the people behind the other one, you're probably more likely to push the one that you know the people behind, I would imagine.
Yeah, 100%. I think you would. Yeah, you think. Oh. I mean, Andrew and Chris at Little Brown Dog are probably not just because they're local, but the fun that they have with some of the stuff. But that's what we talk about. The videos are not, but that's what we talk about. We say, oh, you have to go and watch the video, and then we'll take out our phone and say, just watch it, and off the back of that, I'll buy that. But that's the fun stuff, and that's what you get behind as an indie. Can we class, given the size of Elixir, can we class Elixir as an independent bottler?
Yes, I think, but I think Elixir has a lot of hats because, okay, it's an independent bottler, and originally it was an independent bottler. Like Sikander started bottling single malts of Scotland when he still owned the Whisky Exchange, kind of as an independent bottling through the Whisky Exchange. But it's also like Elixir's also a blender, a distiller. Now that we've got Tormore and going to have Port Natrune, so I think it's not. I don't want to say not just an independent bottler because I don't want to like downplay independent bottlers, but it's kind of it is bigger than an independent bottler, but it's still very much, you know, it's Sikander and Rajbeer's company. It's Ollie that's the master blender. Like, although he hates that term, head of whiskey, whatever you want to be called, Ollie. But you know, you've got Polly at Tormore, you've got Georgie at Port Natrune, so it's still very much for me about the people. Like, it's not a kind of giant, like multinational kind of faceless.
Yeah, it's not.
You still know the people behind it, and like, you know, Sikander would phone me about something, or I could phone him direct. Like, it's not, and it's a really nice kind of company to work for and a good kind of community feel with everyone that works there.
I guess probably would Gordon and MacPhail be the closest kind of.
Yeah, probably actually.
Where they do like a lot of different ranges, although it's all Gordon MacPhail, whereas you guys have very definite categories. They do their connoisseurs and their discovery and
and I suppose because they've got like Ben Romack as well, they've got the Cairn, and then they've got like their Spamol range, which is a kind of independently bottled
unknown distillery. Don't know who they are.
Yeah, it's probably
distillery.
Although they've been on the go for a bit longer than us.
I just wonder because people kind of Dominic has asked the question, how do you become an independent bottler? And I guess you just buy a cask, put bottles and sell it.
Yeah, I mean that's basically it. Yeah. There's a bit more to it than that, but I think like when Mark and I started What Whisky, like we were starting from scratch, but because both of us had worked in the industry for so long, like Mark had the contacts with all the brokers because he'd been buying casks for years for Cadenheads or Duncan Taylor. We both knew distributors and retailers, so we had a kind of,
network.
We had the network. We had distributors set up we had distributors set up before we'd even bottled our first cask. Like distributors that we'd worked with in our previous jobs in like Belgium, Denmark, Japan, Taiwan had already said, yes, we will import your stuff. Once you start bottling, we'll be your importer.
Yeah.
So I think to have that experience, although we were starting a new company, it's not the same as starting from scratch where you don't know anyone and you have to make all those contacts first. And especially starting during COVID when you couldn't go and visit anyone, I think having those previous contacts was a huge advantage.
Yeah. Never thought of that. Where then some people did start up, or try to start up knowing no one, or maybe had bought a cask a few years ago and thought, well, I'll bottle that and start that. And it's interesting. And you do now see probably some of those guys are no longer on the go. They've had a little flurry of it. They've sold the cask that they had, and then they struggled with the prices because obviously prices went nuts, and they've maybe struggled to cope with that.
At least that's one silver lining to the whiskey industry kind of slowing down a bit, is that cask prices are getting much more sensible. Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff which hasn't been available for a while, which is now available to buy again. Like there's more Isla coming on the market. There's more kind of named stuff, I think, becoming available. And even some of the big boys in the industry willing to sell stock, which hasn't necessarily been the case in the past.
How do you balance that then? probably on both levels. You know, Sekinda's got a company now, probably big enough to absorb some more costs than what whiskey can.
Yeah.
So if you're now, you hear the rumors or the stories now that casks are getting cheaper, and Joe Public at home thinks, oh well, that'll mean it's cheaper to buy off the shelf. And yes, that might be the case sometimes, but you're bottling casks that you bought during the peak, which you still need to get a return on.
So I think, I mean, certainly from Malt Whiskey, we just stopped buying. We didn't buy anything when stuff was ridiculously expensive.
Okay.
Which means we've got less stock just now, but at least the stock we haven't overpaid for. And I suspect, I don't know for sure, but from Sekinder's point of view, Elixir have so much stock that has been historically they've had and bought a lot of stock that they either have filling agreements which won't be affected by kind of investment cask prices because they're buying direct new make, or they've got enough stock in bond to tide them over until the prices start coming down again, which is what's happening now. You know, they're sitting on, again, I don't get to see the stock lists at Elixir, but it's going to be big stocks.
But then there must be influences on there, like, you know, the price of barley, for example, will impact what the distillery is paying for making the whiskey, and then the new make spirit stage. So there will be other influences, not the investment prices,
absolutely. Because I was chatting to a broker a while ago, and he was saying, like, because current production prices are so high with the cost of malt barley, the cost of energy, and everything like that, that actually a lot of the new make is about the same price as some of the 6, 7, 8-year-old stuff on the market, just because the production costs are so much higher at the minute than they were 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily the younger you buy it, the cheaper it's going to be either. Because, like you say, like, there are other factors that influence how much a cask is going to cost. I mean, the name obviously has quite a big impact as well. Like, the big names are going to be a lot more expensive. But just how much the distilleries had to pay to produce the stuff in the first place will have an impact on it too.
Yeah. I'm all surprised how immediate something like a raw spirit or a raw ingredient like barley, how immediate that impacts on the price of whiskey, because a lot of distillers are using barley from
I think that's
yesterday.
I suppose though it's probably cash flow, isn't it? Like, they've projected a certain cost for raw materials, and they've projected a certain income from sales. And if one goes up, then they need to make the other one go up. And the easiest way to do that is to increase your prices.
Yeah.
Probably.
I hate it when somebody comes up with a good answer.
But it's the same as duty increases. Like, this always bugs me. Oh, right, duty's gone up. Brilliant. Let's just put all the prices up straight away. And it's like, no, the stuff that's come that's out of bond already is not affected by that duty increase.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, everything goes up by, and it's always 5p. It's 5, and nobody puts things up 5p because they can't be arsed dealing with the little 5p coins.
So it goes up like 10p. Yeah, or a pound to the nearest pound.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen that happen. We're going to put Reb out of his misery. He's asked a couple of times. Port na Tuain. What can you tell us about Port na Tuain? Before we do that, sorry, Reb, we're going to pour another dram. It makes sense to go peaty, doesn't it?
It does. Shall we go Port Askaig? I love Port Askaig.
I did not get a Port Askaig in my goodie bag.
Did I not? Sorry.
You didn't. It's terrible. I'm going to have to come back and do the whole day again.
Yeah.
But what I do have is Elements of Islay.
All right, you go for an Elements of Islay. I mean, I could do the same one as you, or I could. No, I'm going to do Port Askaig.
I've had Port Askaig before. I've had the rate. The only one I don't think I've had it's currently is 15, because that was not that long ago to replace the 17, didn't
it? Yeah. So the 8 that I'm drinking is the core product from Port Askaig. So the 8's always available, and then the teenage ones kind of change. So like previously there was a 17, now there's a 15. Next time we bought it might be a 16 or an 18, but there'll always be a kind of teenagey one, and there's a cask strength one as well. But I think you don't see for an everyday drinking Islay. Love it. Sometimes Islay can be a bit big and intense, and you maybe sip away at a glass of it, but that's enough. Whereas I think this one you could quite happily scull a lot.
Islay whiskey it's one of these that you kind of, for certain people, you have to be in the mood for it. It's very much a cold winter's night. We're getting the nights are drawing in, and it's getting cold, and that.
That's true. Although an Islay highball in the summer is pretty good.
Yeah, I love, one of my favorite drinks in the world is Coleman Sanaig Old Fashioned.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that'd be good.
So, and we had this recently at the bar as well. Espresso martini with a peated whiskey is instead of the vodka. Oh, try it. Go make one. It's just so good.
Right. So we're trying to talk about Port Natrún. So Port Askaig was launched because Sekinder's a massive fan of Islay whiskey, and independent bottle is fine, but he decided he wanted to do his own brand of Islay single malt. So Port Askaig was chosen as the name because it's the gateway to Islay, like it's physically where the ferry goes into. So it's the geographical gateway to Islay. And the style of the whiskey is the kind of gateway or introduction to Islay as well. It's a very kind of elegant, again, fruit driven. I think a lot of stuff that Elixir does, Ollie, particularly, and so kind of love that kind of elegant, fruity style of malt, and that can be in a peated malt as well. So it's that kind of elegant peat. It's not punchy in the face, nice fruity fresh, and then you get the peat at the end. So this, I think, is a really nice example. And with Port Natrún, basically Sekinder wants to make Islay whiskey. He's like, it's a total passion project. Like, I was speaking to him recently. He's like, there's still really exciting things. He's like, the day I get bored of whiskey is the day I retire. He's like, there's always something exciting. There's something new. But he's like, some things get a bit samey. So at least like the distillery is something completely new. It's a passion project for him. And if you thought Tormore is Willy Wonka, like, it sounds like Port Natrún is going to be even more Willy Wonka.
You should build a secret tunnel from Tormore to Port Natrún.
Quite a long tunnel.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited actually because I'm going over next week to see Georgie and get a proper tour around the distillery, because so far I've not actually been over and seen it for myself. I've just heard about it from Ollie and Sekinder and other people in the company. So I'm really looking forward to getting over and seeing it for myself. But this has been quite a long-running project. Obviously, lockdown got in the way. Various problems with building, particularly on an island, but it's nearly there. So everything's in. All the big equipment's in. The stills are in. The washbacks are in. The malt floors are built. Everything's good to go. It just needs connected up.
Just needs a good plumber.
So yeah, plumbing and electrics still needs to be done to join everything up. But the big stuff's all done. Georgie says it needs to be connected up, and then early next year they'll start running trials. So initially they just run it with water to make sure that everything that's supposed to be connected up is connected up, and the right buttons and valves open when they're supposed to and stuff like that. Then they start running it with hot water to make sure all the heating and stuff's working. And eventually, once they're happy that everything's done, they start doing trials with actual proper, like, wash and things. So everything gets run through a lot before we actually start producing. It's not just a case of, right, brilliant, the distillery's finished, let's go. Takes a while.
If
But
only.
hopeful for a kind of May start to production,
The
I
spirit.
think.
Okay.
Yeah, but it sounds amazing. So 4-story malt floor, everything's going to be malted on site.
Where are you
The
getting the malt
still,
from? The barley from? Then is it just?
that I'm not sure. I have lots of questions to ask Georgie when I see her next week, so that'll be one.
And I just ask because obviously the Isla connection, but I don't think there's enough barley on Isla to support.
Nothing grows on Isla. It's like,
Yeah.
but you know, it's interesting because there's this perception that, you know, historically all Scotch whiskey was produced with Scottish barley. And it wasn't at all. Like, living in Campbelltown, if you look at the harbour records, going back to the 1800s, there were ships coming in from Russia, from Poland, from Scandinavia, from all over Europe with grain and barley to make whiskey. Like, boatloads of the stuff coming in. Because obviously the whiskey industry in Campbelltown was huge and there just wasn't enough barley grown locally. And Campbelltown can't have been the only place that was importing barley. You know, it must have been quite widespread that barley was getting brought in from wherever.
Yeah, I think Edinburgh was back in the 1600s was trading with Holland or the Netherlands. We were selling them juniper, and they were bringing in barley
Yeah.
for their Geneva, and it's quite funny. You know, the only kind of thing that has to be done in Scotland is the making of it. We can buy Belgian barley, American wood, or Spanish sherry.
Yeah.
The yeast can come from wherever.
Mm-hmm. Aye, so it's not really the raw ingredients, I suppose. It's what you do with them, isn't it?
Yeah. Or where you do.
And I think that's, again, with Portnatroon, that's kind of, it's being set up to be able to produce a huge variety of styles and types of spirit in the one place. So it's got the pot stills, but it's got a column still, it's got a wee retorque still, so they can do like rums, we can do grain, column distillation, and the pot stills are set up so, like when I was chatting to Skander about it, he's like, it's not the size or shape of the still particularly that influences the final flavour, it's how you run them. So it's like, you know, the line arms and stuff, okay, reflux, it's like, but you can achieve that with different methods. So the stills at Portnatroon, the line arm's going to be pretty much straight across, but they've got jackets on them. So you can either heat it up or cool it down. So if you want more reflux, you cool it down so you get more condensate in the line arm and it goes back down into the still and gets redistilled. If you want less reflux, you heat it up and it goes through faster. You run the stills faster or slower. And you can get wildly different flavour profiles coming out of it, especially if you couple that with different fermentation times, different types of peated barley. Like, there's a huge variety that you can do from the same stills. So I think that's the plan. And then of those different spirit types, the plan would be to then blend them together to create the final product. I think rather than have like, okay, this type of spirit's going to be bottled as this type's going to be bottled as that. I think the plan is to blend them together to get different characteristics. So
you're kind of getting the consistency of a blend in some aspects, but it's all one distillery doing the
So. And then if you've got a grain still as well, that opens up even more possibilities. And then you get into the realm of, like, I don't know, rum production where you're blending pot still and column still, or you're producing a single blend, even though that's not an approved term in Scotch whisky, but that's what it would be.
That's what it is, yeah.
So I think it's really exciting. I'm really excited to go over and see them next week. And
have you been over yet? No. In your role, no.
I've not been over to Isla for, Mike, when was your 40th? Mike Lord's 40th was the last time I was on Isla.
I was going to say 2 years ago.
Yeah, not your 40th. No, Mike Lord's 40th was the last time I was on Isla, so that was quite a long time ago.
He's way older than me.
Yeah, and me. I mean,
sorry, Mike, if you're still watching. If you're not still watching,
but it's great because Isla for us is really quite close. But I don't know, just never go there. I don't think it's always like we slag everyone off because there's so many people you speak to when you're out and about doing whiskey festivals and stuff. And like, oh yeah, I was on Isla recently. I was going to come to Campbelltown, but it's just too far. And it's like you can get to Campbelltown quicker than you can get to Isla. It's just you're getting on a ferry first.
A change is better than a rest.
Yeah,
because I'm changing on a ferry, it's going to be quicker. Yeah.
So I'm just noticing Jeremy Watt's comment about the Japanese style. That has absolutely been an influence for Sikander in the whole creating his own distillery. He's been very heavily influenced by the kind of Japanese style and method. He's really good friends with several of the I can't remember their names now, but several of the kind of big Japanese blenders he's really good friends with. He's been friends with them for a long time. And I think that definitely has played a part in his plans and how he sees the distillery working. And I think for him and Ollie as well, that I always forget the term. There's this, Dave Broom talked about it in one of his books about the kind of Japanese concept of kind of constantly striving for gradual improvement. Can't remember the word, but I think that's kind of part of it as well. Because Ollie says that when he's doing blending, because even when you think like Potaskig is a blend, okay, it's a single malt, but you're still blending casks together to get a consistent product. And that's so much harder than choosing a single cask. Like you choose a single cask is easy. Like you try a cask sample, you go, that's good, and you stick it in a bottle. But to actually blend something and get a consistent product is really hard. And Ollie said like it needs to be as good or marginally better than the previous batch. Like it can't be worse, and it can't be significantly different either. So like a tiny bit better is okay, but you don't want it to be obviously different. So it's trying to get that kind of consistency, but constantly striving to improve it slightly.
It's a little bit like hosting a tasting, where you want something really good to start with, and then you up it a notch, but you don't want the showstopper to come right at the start because then you'll tail off too quick.
Yeah,
I guess you want that balance where everything you can link everything together subtly, but yeah, that's how I try to host a tasting anyway. But you don't want too much difference because then people they talk about the difference. Oh my god, that's such a big improvement, or oh wow, that's rather than talking about the drink itself, they're talking about the difference.
Yeah, the other problem with tastings, I think, quite often whatever you pour first doesn't really perform as well as the rest of them. I don't know whether just because people's palates aren't warmed up yet or whatever, but quite often the first one, regardless of how good it is, doesn't necessarily perform as well as the rest of them. So I think we should introduce that every tasting has a warm-up dram.
Yeah, I'm up for that. We did a tasting with Mark Thompson, the other famous Mark of whiskey. And he didn't do it at our tasting, but he was telling us at the time how he had Glenfiddich 12-year-old, then did the experimental series. So I can't remember what order it was, but the Project 20, IPA, Fire and Cane, the 21-year-old was at the ice wine cask, I think, and then something else, and then a brown bag mystery last dram, and all of the whole thing. The last dram was the favourite out of the bag. 12-year-old, full circle, right the way back. And that was brilliant, and just it shows you what you're talking about. Yeah, we don't give enough respect to the first dram, so pop in at the end.
I think your palate kind of changes as you go along as well, though, because again, depending what you've tried before and after can influence what you think of the one in the middle or the ones round about it as well.
it's very hard to, but I do sometimes I forget, but try and say, keep a little bit in the glass. And by the time you said that, somebody's like, oh, finished.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's always something as well. So you go back to it and see, but by that time your palate is kind of on the verge of dropping off. And if it is something like, I imagine Tormore will come across as like a fruit juice.
Yeah.
If you start off at Tormore and then go to something like this cask strength elements of Isla, and then back to Tormore, like the alcohol is completely gone. You just won't. So all you're getting is that really fruity juice, and wouldn't really give it the credit. So you can maybe overstretch a little bit with that.
Yeah.
Reb is saying the Port Askeig 17 is out of this world.
It is awesome, yeah.
He also says, is it like Colila?
Funnily enough, yes, it's very like Colila. So I do get asked this quite a lot because obviously Port Askeig is an Isla single malt. It's not a blend. So it's like, obviously it has to come from one of the Isla distilleries. And all of the young Kalilas, slip of the tongue there, all of the young Port Askeigs are Kalila. So Elixir have been buying new make Kalila for about the last 10 years and maturing. So it's all our wood, it's our wood management. Before that, it was bought at kind of 7 years old or so, or 5 years old, and then re-racked some of it into our casks. But the way, and I do get a like, people are like, oh, so is it just Kalila then? And it's like, well, yes, but it's also Kalila presented how we want it to be presented. I kind of came up with a allegory. I'm not sure if it works, but like, it's like if you're a farmer, you have a steak. Steak's good, but if you give it to a chef, he's going to season that and present it and, cook it in different ways. So depending what person or chef you give that steak to, you're going to get quite a different output at the end, depending how it's been cooked and how it's been seasoned and how it's presented as a final product, even though the starting ingredient is the same.
It's the same.
It's kind of how I see it with what we're doing with Kalila. Like, we're buying the Kalila as a kind of raw ingredient, and then we're maturing it and blending it together to get the flavor profile that we're looking for.
Of course, so you're getting spirit, aren't you? You're not getting 8, 9, 10-year-old.
Exactly. I mean, some of it will have been bought a bit older, but it's trying to get that, like, what Ollie's looking for is fruity, citrus, and elegant smoke. So it's trying to use casks. Like, refill casks are great for bringing that out, but then you'd also want a bit of depth. So you might put some, they uses some like new oak, toasted oak in there, and some bourbon for a little bit of sweetness. So it's trying to bring all those elements together to make it Port Askeig rather than 12-year-old Kalila is the kind of the thing.
Yeah. Just to jump back, Mark has commented. He says the term is Kaizen.
Thank you. That is the term.
Excellent. And Reb says, for many, the entire peninsula ends at Kennicraig.
I know.
It's very
it's
true.
Only an extra half an hour. It's not far.
I mean, I know it's only half an hour, but the road is like that.
Okay, it's not that bad.
Maybe that's just me after a week.
From like Huntley over to Dufton and stuff. That one's worse.
True. Yeah, absolutely. Reb, sorry, it's saying what he meant was after all that, what he meant was is Portnatrune was going to be similar style to Colila.
Oh,
I think what you've said is Portnatrune is going to be similar to whatever it wants to be similar to.
I think so. I think the whole point with Portnatrune is if it wants, or if Secundra and Ollie or Georgie wants it to be like, a Kalila style, we can make a Kalila style. We could make an Ardbeg style, like it could be a massive peat bomb, it could be like unpeated. Yeah. I think it's trying to keep all those options open. And I don't think that's actually going to be defined until there's final spirit and until there's spirit of bottleable age. Like, I don't think, I think that'll be an evolving thing. I don't think Secunda will be going into it with a, this is how it's going to taste. It'll be a kind of, let's see how it evolves.
Yeah. Is Ollie going to be kind of taking on that as well as everything else? Or is Georgie going to be having?
I mean, probably Ollie will be doing that too. I don't know, because Georgie's production, so she'll be doing all the actual making. We've got, I think everybody's heard by now, but Jackie Thompson from Ardbeg is on board to be the visitor centre. Yeah. Visitor centre manager once we've got a visitor centre. I don't know whether it's a race between Tormore and Portnatroon to see whose visitor centre gets open first, but I think it'll probably be Portnatroon.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can't have a distillery in Ireland without having some form of VC.
No. So yeah.
How have the locals? I don't know how involved you've been in that side of things. Yeah, but has feedback been pretty generous? Have been quite pleased with it?
So. I think on the island it's fair. I mean, I think on the island there's always people who are going to be anti new distilleries in general, just because the infrastructure. I mean, the ferries. You can understand why the locals are getting frustrated with the ferries because it's a disaster. But I think in general it's quite positive, and I think because there's such a strong team, and because it is like, Georgie's in Elix, Jackie's in Elix, like it's employing a local team on the ground. You're not just importing people to come in. There's housing being built as well as the distillery, so it's not going to put an additional strain on like the local housing stock and things. So I think it's been as positive as it can be. I mean, Georgie apparently gets questioned every time she goes to Copey and Bowmore. She's getting like, how's the distillery getting on? What's happening? And anytime Secunda goes over the island, it's like, oh, it's like good. What's happening? When's it gonna? So there's obviously interest there, which is nice.
Yeah, it is. Reb just commented they need to put more ferries on. And
they do need to put more ferries on. The problem is they don't have more ferries.
No, and the ferries they have keep breaking down. It takes bloody 10 years to fix.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully I don't get stranded when I go over next week. But
it's not a bad place to be stranded, is it?
Well, I don't know.
I mean,
I did nearly miss the ferry once in Isla. That was bad.
You missed what? Sorry?
Nearly missed the ferry. I was over when I was a lot younger. One of my friends taught on Isla, like in the primary schools. So me and Hamish, who's another friend, we went over to see her. But because she lived over there, we just went over as foot passengers. So we left our cars at Kennicraig, got the ferry over, and she picked us up, went drinking on Isla for the weekend. But we both had to be back at work on Monday because, jobs and that. It was, although we were a lot younger, we did have jobs. So we'd looked at the timetable, which was on paper. I don't know what. Yeah, it was paper timetables. We'd looked at the timetable. That was fine. Justin, our partner, took us to Port Ellen. And I'm like, nobody else here. Why is there nobody else here? And we looked at the timetable again, and there was a little asterisk next to Port Ellen saying, apart from this date when it goes from Port Askig. And of course, we were there that date. So, haired across the island, got to Port Askig, has literally, they were like casted off the ropes, and was like beeping the horn and waving at them and stuff. And the ferry crew are like, they're like, you can't get on. I mean, the ramp's up. And she was like, no, it's not the car. It's not the car. It's just my friends need to get on as foot passengers. So thankfully, I think it must have been a local crew because they put the gangplank back down and let us like run onto the ferry, which were slightly hungover, sitting having our Calmac breakfast and everyone round about us was just bitching about these people that made the ferry late, and we're like, just have me breakfast.
Did you join in and say, I know, fucking Jesus, can't believe it?
No, I think we maybe actually owned up to it because they were moaning about how they'd let another car on, and we're like, no, it was just us as foot passengers.
Right, okay, yeah.
But yeah, the joys of Isla travel.
If Kat was on the chat tonight, she'd be telling you. So she also works with Glengarry, in case anyone who's watching doesn't know. Who also own Lefroy and Bowmore, so they were over. And my wife Tony worked with Glengarry for a while as well, so they were over doing a farm trip, working at the distilleries and things. And it was, I think they were over the first or second week of March 2020. And it was, they were basically told, if you don't get on this ferry to go home, then you're on the island for
the foreseeable.
Yeah, I think the first lockdown was 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Remember when we thought COVID was going to last 3 weeks and then it'd all be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, that was their Isla experience. And then I was like, if that was me, I'd be like, I'm not getting on that ferry. This is oops, stuck here.
Yeah, shame.
What a shame. But yeah, it's such a great place. And when you're on it, you just feel a part of it, don't you? You don't feel like a foreigner. I know it's maybe different coming from a Scotsman going to a Scots island, but what the vibe I get as well, looking at people who come from Holland and from America, wherever they're coming from, as soon as they come off the ferry, they sit and they feel a part of it. They're amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's such a great place.
It is fun. It's just that sense of community, though, isn't it? I think you get that. I mean, Campbelltown's got it as well, and probably a place in the space out, but it is just that kind of community, and whether you're actually from there or visiting, like if people are coming back, like it's just kind of part of the community.
Yeah. I think if you're not there for whiskey or bird watching, I'm not sure why you would go to Isla. Music, maybe?
Me either. Peace and quiet? I don't know.
I don't know. But it's an interesting place. And I can't wait for, as the guys at home as well have kind of commented on, for Portnaturn to open up. And what I always tell anyone who's going to Isla, don't do it all in one trip. Don't go to every distillery. Don't rush it. Always leave something, and that's a great excuse to go back. Yeah. And when you go back, somebody will have done so. Every time I go back, Kilchoman's bigger.
Well, that's it. I think Scotland in general has that whole thing. Like, you look on a map and it's like, oh, it's a wee island. There's 10 distilleries. We'll be able to do them easy in 2 or 3 days. But actually, the roads aren't that great. The distances are bigger than they look on a map. You end up chatting to people, or things take longer than you think. And I think you're right. It's much better to plan less and give yourself a bit more time rather than trying to rush through everything and miss half of what makes the island good in the first place, or Scotland good in the first place. Like, if you're just rushing to follow an itinerary, then you miss those kind of interactions or like random unplanned trips or activities, which is what makes it special.
100%. I think the bit of advice as well, or the other bit of advice, is when you walk into the distillery on Isla, and whenever you've been to before that, you walk in and say, I've just had the best experience I've ever had at X distillery, because they're so competitive.
It's just bring on the local rivalry.
Here's some 30-year-old, or here's something else. Go and talk about ours instead. It's so much fun to play that game. I'm trying to keep up with. There's so much chat going on. I'm trying to keep.
I know. I'm seeing that loads of comments coming in.
If you if you didn't have that conversation with your mum's friend who said Springbank are looking for a translator,
Yeah.
What could you have seen yourself doing? What's your other passions outside of whiskey?
Do you know? I think about this sometimes. Like, I
You don't
don't
have to
know.
think too hard. This is a filler question while I look back and read the comments.
Yeah, that's all right. Traveling and using language. I'd probably get into like translation or interpreting or something. But I wanted to go and work abroad, so that would probably have been what I'd done if I could have found a job somewhere. I'd go and work in France or Barcelona or something. Was the plan, or maybe South America if I was feeling brave.
Mhm. Would you rather live in Barcelona with a guy called Juan drinking sherry, or Campbelltown with a guy named Mark drinking whiskey?
I mean, the sherry's tempting, but no, I'm happy with how things turned out.
There. I love your honesty.
Yeah. How are you getting on with your jam? I might need another one. I'm trying to think what
Yeah,
to.
I completely didn't even think about it, but these you double up on these guys. That's a 50.
Oh
For
yeah, you
David.
are on big ones. I'm being quite restrained on mine. Oh, can we go to? Oh no. What which one of the Macbeths did I give you?
The soldier, the Ben Rennes.
Yeah, let's do that one. Or do we want to stay on Isla? Oh. Mm-mm.
I could do a little. Eddie just commented they also make rum on Isla, don't they?
They do
Yes, they
make
do.
rum on Isla.
A guy called
And
Ben
beer.
Inglis made has got Isla rum, which is fantastic. I had the pleasure. I went over in August last year. A couple of friends went over the day before, did Bruichladdich, and I think this is the Bruichladdich. And then I got off the port at Port Ellen. The bus comes all the way down the island, so I was going to jump on the bus with them at 10:15, I think. Ferry was 8:30. So I phoned Ben. Ben's been on a Blether with us, so you can Google Ed or YouTube a Blether with Ben Inglis. You'll get the chat. So I phoned, messaged Ben when I was coming off. Said, by any chance, are you in the distillery? He's like, yeah. He's like, can I come and have a look? I'm waiting for the bus. And I go. 2 hours later, missed the bus. Like 10 drams in, and he was getting a warehouse built out the back, and the builder turned up, and he's like, "Where are you meant to be?" As I need to be in Ardbeg. Jump in the bus. Jump in the van. Give me a lift up. I was there before the bus. It was great. So
Hey,
that's the community that you're working with.
it is. I mean,
It's
that's
so
what
good.
it's all about.
So yes, they do rum. And basically, Ben Googled how to make rum, and he taught himself off YouTube videos, and he just did it off that. It's a nut. So honestly, guys, I'm not plugging ourselves, but go and watch our video with him. It's such an interesting story. He literally, if he couldn't figure something out, he YouTubed it, learned it off of that.
That's how you do it. I mean,
So good. Who needs experts?
exactly.
So we are now looking at the Macbeth series, which is
Yeah.
something completely cool and quirky.
I love this. I was so excited with this one. So, if you can see the label, this is a series which it's a collaboration project between.
Can we ask who recognizes the artist?
Oh
Somebody
yeah,
must.
who recognizes the artist? Hang on, I'll get you another cup. Oh, there's another one. Hmm?
First wins bugger all.
Yeah. So yeah, this is since nobody, I don't think, has stumped in with the nope.
Nope.
Nobody's jumped in with the illustrator yet, I don't think. So we'll get to that shortly. Yeah, this is a collaboration project between Elixir Distillers, Livingston Rare, who's the company that's actually bottled it, Dave Broom, and yeah, well done. Reb is Quentin Blake.
Is it Sir? I didn't realise it's Sir Quentin Blake.
I didn't realise he was a Sir either, but there you go.
I hope to Christ it's Sir Roald Dahl as well. If it wasn't for Roald Dahl, nobody would know who Quentin Blake was.
I know, absolutely, but that's like my whole childhood. It was like Roald Dahl books, so you've got this total association between the two. And I say this, I just love this collection. It's another total passion project. Not started by Sikander this time. It's the company Livingston Rare is owned by a guy called Lexi Burgess, and he's done loads of like high-end packaging projects for loads of different whiskey companies over the years, and came up with this concept that he wanted to do. And it was kind of like, wouldn't it be cool if you imagined Macbeth with every character as a whiskey? So he approached Dave Broom, and Dave was like totally on board.
How many times have you woken up and thought I could murder a whiskey?
Exactly. So Dave was on board from the start, and he wrote a character description for each of the 42 characters in the play, and really cleverly done. Like, he wrote it in such a way that it could refer to a person or it could refer to a whiskey. Then Lexi got Quentin Blake on board, which wasn't quite as simple as getting Dave on board, because Dave was just like, yeah, I'm in, let's do it. Quentin Blake, apparently the first time Lexi asked him, was just like, nah, that sounds boring, I'm not doing that, and hung up. And Lexi had phoned him back, and I think Lexi had done quite a bit of work with him before on other projects, so he knew him well enough to kind of phone, and he knew he liked drawing birds, so he'd phoned him up, and he's like, how about if you drew all the characters as birds? And he went, I'll think about it. And the next day, phoned Lexi back, like literally about 10 o'clock in the morning, going, I woke up early and I've finished all the sketches. Do you want to see? So, amazing. And the guy's like 90 odds. I mean, he's been drawn, he must just...
He's got nothing else to do, does he?
So, he came up, he did the sketches. So we now had, or Lexi now had, the character description, he had an illustration, and he needed the whiskey. So it's a completely back to front way of doing whiskey. Like, normally you choose a whiskey you like, and then you write about it. But this one, we had a description, and he needed to find whiskies to suit. And I think he spoke to a couple of other people before he got put in touch with Sikander, and they were just kind of like, yeah, no, I don't really get it. Like, what are you trying to do? And he eventually got in touch with Sikander, and Sikander was like, oh yeah, this sounds awesome, I'm in, let's do it. So loads of discussion between like Lexi, Sikander, Dave, Ollie, trying to come up with how this was going to work. So they did eventually, I think they kind of settled on a few kind of parameters. So characters like the soldier that we're trying just now is a household character. So they're not named, they're kind of in the background, but they're quite essential to the story and to keeping it going. So they are chosen from reasonably young distilleries, but it's generally stuff that makes up the backbone of the big blends. So this is Benrinnes. One of the others, the Servants of Clynelish. So it's kind of workhorse distilleries that don't necessarily get the recognition that they deserve, is what's in the kind of household characters. And then you've got the Thanes that are kind of older, slightly more noble malts. The Leeds, which are your big names, really old, super premium ones. And then other things like Ghosts are all closed distilleries. The Witches are all Islay malts. The Murderers are island malts, because they're kind of on the fringes and kind of outlying. And I just think it's a really cool collection. I'd love it.
Who was the guy? Who was the distiller? It wasn't murderer.
No. It was Dave. So there was a Highland Park 18-year-old which I think I've got here actually. Yeah, this one, Highland Park 18-year-old, which Ollie and Sukhinder had initially proposed as like a murderer because Orkney, so it's islands, and Dave tried it and he's like, no, it's not murdery enough. Can't be a murderer. So I don't know what makes a whiskey murdery, but Highland Park was not murdery enough. So it became Young Seward. And this is the only one that the distillery is used to represent two different characters, because there's Young Seward and there's Seward. So they're both Highland Parks, but Young Seward, obviously, a younger one than the elder.
It sounds like an episode of The Traitors we're talking about now.
Yeah. So yeah, I really like working with this guy. I think it's a really cool idea. It actually makes me want to go and either read or watch the play Macbeth again, which I haven't done since I was at school.
So you had to go right back in and restudy everything?
So far I've just been bullshitting, but I think I might need to like look at it properly again. I don't know. It's all right. Like Zach's really into like comics and stuff, and one of his comic books had it's called Corpse Talk, and they interview like dead people in this comic strip. So there was an interview with William Shakespeare and then a comic strip version of Macbeth. So I read that, which gave me the outlines.
Yeah, it's enough.
Yeah.
I love that. Little self gratification here in that I had something similar, not quite on this epic scale, but when we did our Stone Circle series for the shop, we found stories about stone circles locally and then sourced whiskies to fit the story. So
cool. So you did it first.
Yeah, took me a lot longer to sell through five bottles than probably Sukhinder has to do his lot. But
I don't know. We've only done, I think, maybe about 18 of the 42 characters so far. There's still another.
So the idea is to get every character a whiskey.
The idea is to get every character, and I think that was the idea from the start, because it's a kind of finite collection and a finite number of bottles. So it's 42 characters, and it's being released over 5 releases or acts. Probably every 18 months or so, a new one will come out.
Do you know what you're going to have to do with that, though, at the end of it? Remember how when Highland Park had their Valhalla series, they had the longboat to display them all? You're going to have a big fuck-off stage.
Awesome, with like curtains and stuff as well.
You can display all your bottles on. It's going to happen. 42, you imagine 42 bottle display. Yeah. You make a fortune. Somebody will make a fortune out of that. Hopefully me for coming up with the idea.
Yeah. I'll remember to credit you when somebody feels it.
I won't take money. I'll just take a free collection of them.
I think we'd be cheaper paying you.
So another question we love asking guys, and being an independent bottler and then having access to the range you've got as well, it's maybe a bit of a twist in it. So you work for Springbank directly, you've worked for Glenfarclas directly.
Yeah.
Is there any other distillery that A, you would love to work for, and B, you've really, really enjoyed drinking?
Ooh. There's a question. See, I think, was it with you guys who were speaking about it, about how, like, where you live influences your taste in whiskey and things like that?
Yeah.
Because I do tend to go for the kind of coastal, west coasty, islandy distilleries. Like Highland Park, Talisker, Kalila, that kind of west coast. Of the newer distilleries, I love Ardnamurchan. Oh, actually, might go and work for them. If they were to offer me a job, they'd be a good company to work for, I reckon. They'd be quite fun.
I think they'd be fun, yeah. Just in case Secunda's watching, she's not.
Yeah, I'm not actually looking for another job, Secunda. Don't worry.
He loves it. You can tell.
I think if I was to work for another distillery, I'd want it to be. I like that kind of family-owned or independent kind of thing. I think it's really nice having that connection with the distillery and the people and things, rather than working for somewhere that you don't actually really see where you work. Yeah. Does that make sense? Or who you're working for?
I think given your track record, you've always had that kind of comfort in that there's so many times you meet a brand ambassador who has gone from that kind of really homely, small and then think, oh, here's the lights of the big city kind of thing, and they go off and they're like, it's so impersonal, the benefits aren't the same, or the money's great, but and they kind of almost regret that kind of decision.
I even remember, even at the time going from Springbank to Glenfarclas, I was like, they're both kind of independent, family owned, quite fiercely independent, should be fairly similar. And even just the style of the distillery was so different. At the time, Springbank is tiny. It's all kind of jammed in and really old fashioned and stuff. And then you go to Glenfarclas and the stills are enormous. The still room's huge. Everything's all quite modern inside and kind of a bit more logically laid out and stuff. And the distilleries themselves were quite a contrast, although the kind of philosophy behind it was fairly similar. As I say, that kind of fierce independence and we do things our way. If you don't like it, don't drink it. That kind of thing was quite similar. So it wasn't too much of a culture shock. But I think going from somewhere like Springbank or Glenfarclas to working for one of the big kind of corporate, where it's all, you have to toe the corporate line, you have your set things that you're supposed to say, and it's all, everything has to be on brand. I think that would be quite a big culture shock.
Yeah, I think I'm just picturing Springbank and Glenfarclas. You're sitting working at Glenfarclas and I have to go to the filling store. It's 100 meters away. It's I can't walk all that way.
Yeah. So Mark and I, we got married at Springbank. The distillery let us use the malt barns to get married, which was really cool. But anyway, at the time, I was still working for Glenfarclas when we got married, so we invited George down to the wedding. And I remember we were doing distillery tours of Springbank before, and he walked in and he saw
on the day.
No, I think it was the day before. I think.
And if you just walk through here, there's a wedding.
But George walked into the distillery and saw the wee cast iron mash tun, and he's like, "Is that just for display?" And it's like, "No, that's actually what they use."
They just recently replaced it, haven't they? Or it's on the cars to be replaced?
Oh, I don't know. They're replacing the stills just now, because we came home one day and there were stills sitting in the car park.
I'm sure I heard that they replaced the mash tun, because that's one of the original mash tuns, isn't it? It's one of the oldest in the business. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm picking up that wrong. If Callum's still watching, he might know, or Mark might know, but I'm sure I heard that they're thinking of replacing the mash tun.
Possibly.
Which if they do, they can't get rid of the current one. It has to be on display somewhere.
Could be a swimming pool in the car park.
Swim pool. I was thinking one of those spinny things you get at the arcade.
Oh, at the fair.
Where you sit in the end and it spins round. And
Christ, you need some water to spin that thing away. At
the end of the tour, that's where you get to go.
Yeah. It spins you out, tips you upside down, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, Mark said Scotia replaced their mash tuns. Maybe Scotia.
Oh, maybe it was Scotia.
Maybe. Okay. And yeah, they've talking of Scotia, Ian's gone over to China.
I know.
It's news, wasn't it?
I haven't heard who they've got instead of him either, because he's big boots to fill. He's been there a long time.
Yeah. We don't talk about Glen Scotia enough. I think Springbank's kind of the one that every whiskey fan knows. But Glen Scotia, such a good whiskey, such a good dram.
They make some really good stuff. They do make some really good stuff, and like the difference in the site and in what's coming out of it now compared to like when Mark first started coming down to visit me, like probably 18 years ago or so. Like the distillery looked abandoned. It was really neglected. It just looked kind of sad and uncared for. And the difference now is just phenomenal. Like the site looks amazing. Everything's always really well cared for, really nice. Like they're producing some brilliant spirit. It's in good wood. Like it's just such a difference. And it's so nice to see it getting the kind of love and care that it deserves.
The recognition, I think he just came in and set a standard, didn't he? And like, not even looking at standard of whiskey, it was the standard of the place and how you present yourself and how it looked, so that and naturally you became proud of that kind of what you were producing, and that's I love that. It was something we mentioned at the on the tour at Tormore, was how these guys, everyone's got a story. We spoke about everyone's got a story of Tormore, and how they're so proud and passionate about it. But at the time, they're working and it's going into shivers. Nobody's talking of Tormore as an independent bottler, but they're still so proud and they love where they work and they're so proud of the spirit and stuff. Is it?
Yeah. They've got some staff there that are now like third generation of the family that have worked at Tormore. Which is quite cool. And the workforce has increased hugely since Elixir took over as well, because there were only 6 operatives, I think, or 5 or 6 when Chivas was running it, and it's now up to 26. So it's nice that that's kind of bringing that community and life back into the distillery again as well, I think.
Yeah. One of the guy, Martin, who's from Inverurie, drives out every day. I think that's
he does,
his wife and my wife, our kids are the same ages, or give or take, so kind of grown up together. Shared a babysitter.
Handy, that's good.
So if you see me there, like, it's because I've hitched a lift with Martin.
I know, you should have done that on Tuesday, and then you'd have been able to drink all the drams.
I should. I know. But then I wouldn't have all this lovely liquid in front of me here today. So
you might still have got a doggy bag anyway.
Maybe. I realize we're now at the magic hour of the Blether, which is 10:15, which is when Roy starts over on his
the barflies, true.
So I just want to say, for those, I don't want to stop because I'm having such a good time, unless you want to stop, but I just want to say cheerio to the guys who may be dropping out to go and watch Roy. I don't know what his topic is tonight, and try and figure it out first, but if you are leaving to go and watch Roy, screw you, bugger off. If you want to stick around, well, if you're happy to stick around for a wee bit longer,
of course, that's fine. I'm going to pour something else in if I can decide what to have.
Do you know what we haven't had yet?
What have we not had?
We haven't had a Tormore.
We have not had a Tormore. We should have a Tormore. Do you have a Tormore? I gave you. Yeah, you've got Tormores in your goodie bag.
5 Tormores here, and if I dug far enough, I've actually got the little brown dog Tormore.
Oh, have you?
And I've
got a 25-year-old single malts of Scotland Tormore, which could be fun.
Yeah, I've got 25 years single malts.
Yeah, I know. What's it? Well, why don't you have the little brown dog one? I don't think I've tried that. You can tell me how that one is, and I'll have the.
It's great. It's maybe probably out of my reach.
Oh, yeah. I'm just thinking mine is well. I'm going to go for a blueprint because I can reach it.
The other one I've got somewhere is a Gordon MacPhail one, but I can't lay my eyes
That's all right.
on it.
Let's go for. Sorry, let's go for a blueprint. I'm going to go for toasted barrels. I think
I'll go for a cream sherry. I'll go. Roy's topic is indie bottlers. Do we know any?
Nah.
I'm just going to put this on screen for the guys at home. This is what Mark has said.
Not at all, dear.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean it's very similar. Mark, Mike, you could get that.
Yeah.
But here's a useless bit of information about my personal life. When I started going out with my wife, Tony, her ex was Mark, and about her third date in, she called me Mark, and it was like, yeah, almost never happened, but I forgave her.
I once lived with Mark and Mike. When we stayed in Dufton for a while. Yeah, Mark and I shared a house with Mike and Val when she was up at the weekend. So yeah, Mark and Mike. So it was just like Mike, Mark, Mike, kind of whatever.
Ed Friday says, I prefer this to Aquavite as I don't like it when their hosts wear branded tops on their own brand.
Oh yeah, I'm completely unbranded today. Are you branded?
Yeah. Well, technically I am, but it's a different brand because we're here as Inverted Whiskey Shop and this is our Foghouse brand. So
it's subtle branding, is it?
Underneath this is I do have a Whiskey Shop t-shirt. I'm a full brand wanker tonight. I wasn't sure how cozy this heater was going to be. What have we got coming up?
Downstairs, I'm down in the kind of basement. It used to be our booze room, and then when we had kids, it changed into a spare room, and it's now back to a kind of booze room and spare room. But it's kind of downstairs in the unused bit of the house, and it's kind of like, am I going to freeze? But it's actually okay. I don't know whether Mark's left the heating on again. Maybe. Either way, it's fine.
Just going through the chat. Dominic, I've told you about this before. Please keep your opinions sometimes to yourself. I need to tell you this. Dominic doesn't enjoy Roy's chat, but I love it. I think it's so informative, intellectual. As a chat, we love having guests on and getting the banter. Sometimes Aquavita don't, because I guess sitting and listening to one person talking for a long time can. But some you go on for the chat as well. You got the YouTube chat and the people you speak to, and if you want to learn about whiskey, there's absolutely nobody better as a community to sit and listen to what Roy's got to say. He's honest, he's opinionated, he's true. And some of the whiskey, some of the knowledge he comes out with is fantastic. Yeah, I love it. The problem I now have with Roy's chat is it comes after this. So when I sit and watch it, I'm a few drams in and I'm probably at the end of the patience noise. I'm just like this. I'm like, and it's nothing to do with Roy. It's to do with the experience. But I love jumping on Roy's chat after and just catching up. And so Dominic, no, I'm with Callum on that. I completely disagree. And I think we we have to promote every other. We're not the only chat out there. We're a very, very, very small chat. We love what we do. We love our guests. We love you guys watching. But yeah, let's stick with that community bond and promote everyone else. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But it's like whiskey, isn't it? It's like, so I'm now ranting. I'm rambling. Sorry, Kit.
It's all right. Go.
But it's like whiskey. If there's one that you don't like, you don't have to tell everyone you don't like it. You just don't buy it again. You don't watch it. You just put it in the shelf and you go find something that you do like.
Yeah.
So there we go.
I agree. That was a very mild rant. That's nothing. That's a
lot of swearing.
An opinion. That was far from ranty.
If you and I are still here in an hour, then
the rants will be.
Yeah. Reb has backed me up. He says Mike has far better guests.
Oh, thank you. I mean, not just tonight, but just in general, maybe.
Yeah. But also Roy very rarely has guests, I think.
Yeah, true.
So anyway, what are we drinking now?
So this is Tormore Blueprint. So like we said at the start, this is the kind of pre-release stuff just to give a wee teaser of what's in the warehouse, what the style could be before the new release comes out next year. The blueprint was done as a 10-year-old. It's looking like when the new release comes out next year, it's going to start at a 12-year-old. There'll be a no age statement as well. And then 12, I think Ollie's looking at kind of 12, 16, maybe 18, 21. Still to be defined, I think. Yeah. But so the one I'm trying is the toasted oak, which I really like. So this is technically virgin oak. And I don't know about you, but see when people say virgin oak whiskey, you think like it's going to be overly tannic, really spicy, woody, just. But the toasted stuff's lovely. So it's a slightly different production method. Like we work with the Calvin Cooperage, which from the name, it used to be based in Glasgow, moved to Kentucky. And they do a really traditional coopering technique where before they do the char, they toast the inside of the barrels gently. So it lets, like charring closes down all the inside of the wood, basically caramelizes it and stops stuff getting in too deep. But when you toast it first, it opens up all the grain and lets the spirit penetrate deeper into the wood. So you're getting more of the kind of vanillins and sweetness and less of the over-the-top kind of tannins and spice. You still get a bit of it, but not. It's a lot more subtle than like a traditional kind of virgin charred, which is just all vanilla and spice.
What are I get a big kind of clovey orange peel, the really oily orange peel kind of hit generally from virgin oak, which can, if you don't have a good robust spirit, which I didn't think Tormore had. I think Tormore was a little bit fruitier, a little bit softer to stand up to this. But maybe that toasting technique has just subdued that in a way.
I think it suits better with Tormore. How's your cream sherry one?
It was, see, when we, and I mentioned this at the tasting on Tuesday, when these three came out, I knew that the cream sherry was going to be the first one to sell it, because people were like, wow, that's different. Cream sherry cans. When as we've discussed earlier on, it's not. It's probably was the norm originally. We've evolved it to be different. But the one that people were coming back for and saying, have you got more of this? Was the bourbon barrel.
Yeah.
That's what people by surprise and I want more of that. But it's oilier, it's thicker. I think it's got more of a kind of viscosity to it.
I think Ollie was saying that's why he chose to use a bit of kind of sherry and cream sherry in the mix as well, though, wasn't it? To give it that mouthfeel and the kind of texture and a bit of depth to it.
Yeah. It's not as sweet as I imagined it would be. If you think cream sherry,
Yeah,
it's and it's still got a spice. It's still got that kind of. I'm going to say sharpness, but I don't mean that, and it's like that sharp. But it's got that bite to it that makes you realize it's whiskey-esque. It's strong. It's 48%, I think.
yeah.
These guys.
Is it 48?
48. Don't tell me on the labels.
Yeah, 48 because Ollie likes drinking it at 48.
I love that freedom he's got. He's like, I've got this batch. I'm going to bottle it 48%. Why? He's like, because I like it.
Yeah, we were doing a staff training session with him online like the other week, and like Skinder and Ollie and Mitch, who's the rum brand ambassador, and we're chatting about the strength, and it was actually the rum trails we were speaking about, but they're bottled at 48 as well. And Ollie was like, well, you know, sometimes you just want to be able to pour it and drink it and not bother going to the tap and getting water because it's too far away. So it's like, you know, this is just 48 is just a nice kind of drinking strength.
Mm. It is. And I'll speak on Cat's behalf as well, because Glengarry do everything at 48%. I think it's a good. I like 43. I like 46 generally, but I like to push things up and have the freedom to then decide what I want to do.
Yeah.
I think anything under 46%, I would probably take out the bottle and kind of think that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas 48 plus, you think there's room for development, whether it's water or whether it's time or whether it's air or something like that, that can evolve. I always feel that something below 46% has done everything before it's got in the bottle. So when you pour it,
that's it.
That is what it's going to be. And I love that 48.
Yeah, I mean, generally, I probably drink more cask strength or higher strength stuff than I do 43, 46. But I'm coming round to Ollie's kind of 48. It is quite a nice, just fairly easy drinking strength. It's not too too overpowering, not too strong, but you still keep some of that nice kind of mouthfeel and warmth to it as well.
When you're bottling as an independent bottler, you taste you have your samples. And I remember Mark was saying that you guys were one of the very few lucky ones who could get samples before you bought the cask due to your connections and all that. When you taste it, do you taste it at cask strength, or do you cut it down and say, like because we had Mark Watson on from Highland Park last week, who was a former famous grouse blender. He's now in the Highland Park, and kind of as a blender, the idea is to dilute it down to around 25, I think 25.
Yeah, they're taking it down really low.
And the idea is to eliminate the influence of the alcohol so you get the full spirit cask combination. And that's to unmask unwanted flavors.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm thinking that the idea of an independent bottler bottling at cask strength isn't so that people pour it cask strength and think this is how it's going to be drunk because it's natural. You're giving them a blank canvas saying, do with it what you will.
Exactly. Yeah. It's giving them the choice of how much water, if any, to add. And if they do want to add water, you can add a couple of drops, you can add a lot. Like everybody can drink it to their personal preference.
So in your selection process, do you sit there as with a blender's head on or as a drinker's head on and say, right, somebody's going to open this at 59%, which is what we've bottled it at, and pour water into it to take that down to 40%. The potential is there that they're going to unmask flavors that we haven't thought about because we love cask strength whiskey.
So when we're trying a sample for bottling, we'll always try it without water and then add water to it just to see what happens.
Yeah.
When I'm drinking for my own pleasure or leisure, generally I don't add water much. Occasionally I'll come across one that I feel would benefit from a bit of water, but
Yeah.
when I'm just drinking at home, then I normally don't add water. But certainly when we're trying cask samples for potential bottling, then yes, we will add water for purely that reason, because some of our consumers might be trying it with water, and you want to make sure there's no off notes come out when you add water to it. Ollie does things a bit differently. Like he will
He just
bottle
balls at
it.
48%.
Well, so some of the stuff he'll take down to 48, but he will also sometimes take stuff to a lower strength if he feels it tastes better. So he wants you to be able to pour it out the bottle at a really nice drinking strength, but also to add water if you want. So he might say, right, this one tastes better at 56%. This one has a natural strength of 60, but that's good at 60. So he's a lot more kind of fluid depending which specific whiskey it is. Whereas Mark and I, one, we don't have that alcohol meter thing that tells you the exact strength. And also, we only get small samples. So we can't really kind of mess about with the strength as much. So we're just like, it's either cask strength or more or less cask strength, or it's 57.1, 100 proof. If we feel it's too high natural strength, we'll bring it down to 57.1, and then it's up to each individual how they want to drink it. Whereas Ollie, he will, depending on the individual whiskey, sort of alter slightly what strength he's bottling at, just to try and bring out the best of each individual spirit. It's just a different approach and a different way of doing things.
I kind of feel sometimes, and when we're doing tastings in the bar or in the shop, and you have, say we did, you guys came up and did a barrel top and you poured it. People kind of feel, customers, because I guess our demographic up in Inverurie, we're not a tourist location. We're not a massive whiskey location. So the people who are coming to us are either very, very passionate about it, or are maybe buying for somebody who is. And it's getting that across when they taste it. And, oh no, that's too hot. Pour some water into it.
Yeah.
But you have these people out there who are like, that's what the bottle of it. That's what I'm drinking it at. I don't take anything less than cask strength. And it's such a heavy, and it's probably through marketing. It's probably through influence of bravado and a bit of that. Well, that's how they've bottled it.
Yeah.
And I think we need to kind of promote it. Just add a touch of water, just see what happens.
Yeah. Exactly, and it's trying to get that it's okay to add water, because some people, oh no, you can't add water to good whiskey. It's like, no, you can.
It's such a blinkered stigma, isn't there? That
but it's like, think how you enjoy it. You've got the bottle. Like, if you want to add a lot of water or some water, like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Shout out to the guys at home. If you see somebody adding water or ice or cola or something to the yeah, it's all right.
Do you know what? A wee smoky cokey now and again, nothing wrong with that. It's all right.
Yeah. I love whiskey cocktails.
I do too.
As I said, in a cocktail, I think the smokier the better. I think it brings elevates so much great flavor.
What you want to do? Did you get Mark on his rant about cocktails and whiskey? No.
I got to be 100% honest. I got so drunk on Mark's chat that I can't remember much of it.
So Mark's rant, and I agree with him. See, pretty much every cocktail book you read, like the cocktail recipes, it's like, right, such and such a vermouth, this specific bitters, this whatever, and Scotch. And it's like, how can what it's got? Like, what are we talking? Like famous grouse? Are we talking Ardbeg? Like, what are we talking here? Like, and there's no kind of thought given to how the different flavours of the whiskey will affect the cocktail. Like, even if they said Scotch whiskey and then sort of qualified it with, go for a blend if you want sweeter, go for an Islay malt if you want something like a bit smokier. But it's just, unless it's kind of sponsored by a brand, there's no real distinction between the different whiskies in cocktail recipe, in the kind of normal cocktail books. Like, there's no distinction at all, and it's like
it just is Scott. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
It has a huge influence on the final flavour of the cocktail. Whether you add, if you add a Glenfarclas 10 or you add an Ardbeg 10, that's going to be, or you add a Johnny Walker Red, like, that's a massive difference in the final flavour.
So probably one of the most famous bartenders cocktail books.
Mark has it too.
The Jerry Thomas. I went on a wee blitz, and I think I bought 3 different editions of this, but I'm not sure if I'd pre-planned. Here's a whiskey toddy.
Yeah.
This is, what 1 dose of whiskey.
Yep.
1 teaspoon of sugar, half a wine glass of water, 1 dose of whiskey, 1 small lump of ice, stir with a spoon.
Yeah.
Now, back in the day, this was inspirational stuff. This was like, but so many bartenders still go by what Jerry's written. It's such a big book and influential book in the history of not just cocktail making, but spirits as well.
Yeah.
It didn't take long to get. I'm into brandy now. Manufacturing cordials, punches, so much good stuff. Scotch whiskey. He's got 8 recipes in Scotch whiskey.
Yeah, that's not me.
This whole book, only 8 Scotch.
Yeah.
Pull your finger out, Jerry. Come on. But yeah, you're right. It's cocktails. However you drink whiskey, make it the way you want to drink it. As long as you buy it from me, I don't care how you drink it.
Exactly. That's absolutely.
or what whiskey shop. Yeah. They've got a shop, by the way, if you didn't know.
We have.
Mark loves hearing his own rants.
Well, I've had to hear them for a long time, so I can remember them all.
Okay. Well, before we rant anymore, Kate, I think it's probably a great time to finish. We start with Tormore. We've come round. We've actually drank Tormore.
Yeah, we've gone to the full circle.
Full circle. It's been absolutely fantastic. I've loved every second of it and every sip of it as well. I love how you've yeah, watched it a lot. Never been on. I don't normally comment, but I've got you on in the background, so yeah, it's been good. Dominic is just asking, where are you based?
So I still live in Campbelltown. Mark and I are based in Campbelltown, which is not the most practical for being a Scotland brand ambassador because it involves a lot of travelling about. But yeah, based in Campbelltown, travel about all over the place. Headquarters of Elixir Distillers is in London, so go down there now and again, but mainly here and dotting about Scotland.
There you go. It'll be great when Portitude opens up. You'll be right in their doorstep. I
know. I'm kind of hoping I'll get a bit more over there. It's like quite a quick trip for me. Like, Isla's really far away from everyone else, but it's just like a wee half-hour drive up the road, so it's quite nice.
Brilliant. Love it. And it's somewhere when it's open. You think, well, May is when the spirit might start running. That's
Mhm.
still a long way off. Which
Yeah.
is coincidentally about the time of Fish.
Yeah. I think the hope is to have it running by then. I don't know. I wouldn't like to be quoted on when the visitor centre is going to open and when things
Yeah.
are actually going to start, but I know the hope is it's round about then.
Yeah. Or
So
at least have something that people can come and see.
yeah.
That'd be great. It's been an absolute pleasure. Loved it, like I say, every second of it. Thank you to everyone at home for
Thank you all
joining
for
us,
listening.
sticking around. The questions have been great. The rants have sometimes been fun, and the comments have, we always love it. We love your interaction. And Kat's not here to tell me who's on next week, but I know we are fully booked up with guests for the rest of the year. So there's definitely going to be a guest next week. And
You just don't know who it is.
I don't know. I don't control that side of things. But I have to say thank you again, just to yourself, Kate, for jumping in, because we'd spoken about you coming on as a guest, but we were full till the year, and we had a cancellation last minute, so you jumped.
Your substitute. It's fine.
Thank you. Normally our substitute is Andrew from Little Brown Dog. We're like, so yeah. Thank you so much, guys. If you have any questions, if you're watching retrospectively and something piqued your interest, we'd love to see your comments after as well. So please give us a shout, and if I can get Kate back on the phone and get you some answers.
Yeah, or I'll check the comments as well, and if there's anything we can ping a wee reply on or whatever as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Slange wrap. Good night. Enjoy your weekend.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.